Good evening, Central Indiana, and welcome to a special edition of Sports Nuts in the Porch Time time slot. Let me get to our sponsors real quick before I kick it over to the voice. American Basement Solutions, Mr. Larry Ralph Sr. I saw him a bunch out at the fair. Thank you so much for helping us out. Wellspring, Reps Fitness, Bland & Boys Lawn Care. They've been busy this summer. Just Winging It, findhelp.org with Judge Williams. If you need some help, anything in your life, contact that group, look them up. It's a pretty interesting site. And of course, the Igloo Maker back here.
Yeah, I like it.
Stid's Comfort Air System. We freeze Rob out every week when we can. So, big show tonight. Let's kick it over to the voice of Sports Nuts, Mr. Dean Sisson. How you doing, Dino?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Sunday evening.
Well, thanks for everyone for joining us. I know we've been off for a while, but we're back and stronger than ever. Coming back. Summer is just hard to get everyone together because you're trying to coordinate everyone's schedule and people are on
vacation. Be at the
vacation.
lake and on vacations. And
everyone's on vacation and stuff. But when you have retired football coaches, it makes it a lot easier. So tonight we have Martinsville legend Vince Burpo.
I don't know about legend.
How you doing, Vince?
Good. Real good.
Thanks for coming down. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
How was traffic?
Bad.
It was awful.
It was horrible. Yeah, there was some construction going on Sunday, and always get 2.5 times working out there, and it was a little tough today.
I didn't think about that, but it's double time and a half, isn't it, on a Sunday? Yeah. So everyone's working. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're out there making the buck today. So
It's well, fingers crossed. It's only going to be another 6 or 7 years.
right.
Hey, Leslie, thanks. Was that Leslie already?
Thank you, Leslie. Hello, Mike. Hello, Tony. Hello, Leslie. And Megan Sisson's on, by the way.
She is?
Yeah.
Right on. So you said you had construction. You guys kind of went through went through the same.
Delphi. We put the Hoosier Heartland Highway in, and that took 1 year to get that all, just like they said here with and I'm just telling you, they say it's going to be 1 year. They'll be out there working on Sundays too.
Yeah.
Because that bonus they get for getting done.
Right.
So
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either.
Yeah.
But we had the square fixed up and all that, and all the surrounding area around the square, and then had the road to Hoosier Heartland. Now that has changed some of the economics of the town. Like when I was the athletic director, we had a little thing with a place from up where John Glenn is in Walkerton, and it's Nelson's, and we sell pork chops,
Okay.
and half chickens. But it was really good when those people had to come through town to get to the Purdue game.
Oh,
That
nice.
was a really nice fundraiser for the athletic department. So those days ended. So there are some things that have changed with all that. So
I didn't think about that, but you got Purdue holds probably 40,000, 45,
60.
Yeah. So you're probably forcing half of that through there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
it was everybody at that time because there wasn't no Heartland, because the 25 had to go right through Delphi and right to Lafayette.
Right to Lafayette.
See, that's what's going to be happening here with the IU traffic.
Yeah.
See, I remember as a kid, IU traffic, there was no 37 bypass.
Morgan Street.
And so that street, Morgan, was all backed up all the way, and just people just can't believe that, that would be backed up like that. But there was no other place you could go unless you went over to Brown County or something, or Ross or Spencer.
So 37 came down and connected at Morgan Street.
Yes, because that was the only 37.
That was the only 37. So
And the old Forestry Road?
Yes.
That was it.
Yep, old
That was
37.
37.
that was going through the forestry. Yeah, man. Yeah, because that makes sense. It pops out right there at the stadium.
Right across the street.
Yeah. So,
That's
yeah.
my back way in.
I think during the IU Ohio State game this year should be a lot of fun. I mean, it probably won't be backed up for 9 or 10 hours.
Hey, folks, you better get yourself a hotel room. I know you live in Martinsville, but you better get on down
The
there.
Ohio State fans probably will come a day early.
Well, and
they travel smartly.
You know what's funny is the parking is already sold out for the Ohio State game.
I'm not doubting that.
Yeah. And then I looked at a hotel in Bloomington that night just in case, like, we weren't able to make it back home.
Yeah,
If you tailgate, too much and don't want to.
Are you saying that might happen?
I'm not saying that I wouldn't do something like that. I'm just saying that some people, might do that. And the hotels are already booked. I typed in Bloomington and it came up Bedford, Nashville, and Martinsville for the available hotels.
Right, I
Yeah.
got you.
So yeah, it should be fun that week. I mean, hopefully it's a good game. I mean, I think it's funny they still have it as a to be determined time because if IU comes in 4-3, then that'll be a noon game, and if they come in, 6-0, then it'll be a 7:30 game. But so I see you got your Florida State shirt on. That just a coincidence, or
I don't know. Sometimes I have coincidence with T-shirts on, I guess. But I just had this on today, and then went to the TV and found out Bobby Bowden had passed away today. I knew he had been ill, but no way. That was, you're just thinking those coaches never die. You know what I think?
Yeah, right.
And I've seen Coach Bowden speak at clinics, and he's really an entertainer. But he tells stories like, well, I was in my office and I drew up this pass pattern, and normally all the coaches get together in a room and try to figure out how to protect it and so on, all the other things. He said, I just went in there and took it to the offensive line coach and handed it to him and says, we're running that play this week. You figure out how to block it.
Make it work.
Yeah. And they walked out. He said, and went back to his office. So, no, I've been to Florida State for a game. They were playing Miami.
Oh, wow.
A friend of mine, his dad works in the athletic department down there. So we got to go into, at that time, it was the Florida State's coach, is now the Texas A&M coach, and that was his office. We got to go in there and walk around.
Jimbo
Fisher.
Yeah, Jimbo Fisher.
Got to do that. And so we had nice, seats. We had never been in there, and it's like I told you before we went on there. That's my favorite on-campus place to be. And really disappoints a friend of mine that's from Wisconsin and has season tickets and teaches at Delphi.
That's funny.
He's up in arms about that. But they are. They bring that horse out there and they bring that war chant cry and all that, and it's it'll give you chills.
Yeah.
I am serious. It will give you chills.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I have my favorite teams, and I want, people get on me because I like IU, but I also like Notre Dame football, and like, there's nothing sinister about it.
Do you have one of those jackets?
That's reversible.
Yeah, you have one of those.
Yeah, and
because I'm a Purdue fan, and I never seen one of those at Purdue reversible.
Well, yeah, and so I always I can appreciate, the only reason I like Notre Dame is because they were on TV every Saturday when we were growing up, and they use our high school fight song. It's not the other way around.
It's not the other way around.
Yeah, it's not the other way around. They use our song.
Coach Cyrus made us learn that shit. We're freshmen.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. So
there is no better atmosphere than college football.
Yeah.
And that is why I love that over everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say is I don't necessarily like Florida State or dislike them, but I can appreciate that pregame is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like he said, when the spotted horse comes out and they've got the spear with the flame on it, and he rides to midfield and rears back and throws that spear in the ground and then rides off and the place is going crazy. I mean,
you just look around the Boomer Sooner in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
The Clemson, don't they come down the big hill?
I haven't seen either one of those yet.
Yeah.
But they're pretty cool stuff there. Every campus seems like they have something they do. Notre Dame is just magical anyway. So
yeah.
I'm not biased at all.
And my thing with Notre Dame is
Go Gators. There you go.
That's funny.
I did see Florida play year before last.
You did?
At Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Swamp would be cool to go to.
I would love to do it.
Yeah. So my brother, there's Jerry Scott. He says, "Hey, Vince, my brother doesn't have any kids, so he doesn't have to take vacation during the normal school year. Yeah. So he always takes a whole month in October, and he goes to Panama City. Well, he called me one year and he said, "Hey, Alabama is playing Georgia. I think it was Alabama and Georgia." And he said, "I want to go to that game." He said, "I'm only a couple hours away." And I said, "Yeah, go ahead." I said, "That'd be cool." He calls me back. Yeah, he calls me back 2 days later. He goes, "You know how much tickets are?" And I said, "No, but I know that they're not affordable. I know,
Well, I got him a little tip for him if he wants to see Alabama play.
Yeah.
Lexington, Kentucky's right down the road.
That's right.
That's right.
That's a good point. Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Tickets much cheaper there. Probably.
Yeah. I know. I know.
That's funny.
Good seats too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and like you said, Boomer Sooner, not
well, you got the Iron Bowl, you got Indiana and the old Open Bucket with Purdue and Camp Randall and on and on. And you got the Coliseum out in California.
I was just going to say.
That would be neat to see.
Yeah.
I saw the Colts. I flew out with the Colts, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
A friend of mine from here, Randy Howard, was a year ahead of me in high school, and we played baseball together. And he was one of the first people to join with Jeff Brummett, Roger Brummett, which was Jeff's brother.
Yeah, Roger was my first coach in junior football.
Yeah, so he was in charge. He's the person that put the first Colts fan club together. He did it.
Nice.
So what they did was they put all these people and they had this fan club, and then they were going to give one trip a year, which I think they still do. And then that person then would, be able to pick somebody, and then they would go to, this game. Well, we were going to Oakland Raiders game. I mean, not Oakland, but Los Angeles Raiders at that time.
Okay.
So we flew out there with all the team and all that, and walked right. Things were different then. You walked right down the tarmac, got on the plane, had a little sign to where you were going to be, and you just had your seat.
It's pretty awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Scott Wallace is another one of our sponsors. I should have mentioned. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he takes pictures for us.
Okay.
Excellent photographer, and he'll put them on Facebook and everything.
Okay.
And he'll probably get some to you figured out. But thanks, Scotty.
Yeah, I would love to go to a USC game because they've got the Trojan and all that. I do think that would be cool.
I can't stand USC.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I mean, you can stand them or not. You can go watch them play football.
Yeah.
As long as they're playing Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That'd be fine too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I was this close to getting tickets for the Bush Push game, and they were like 400, or they're about 450 a piece. They were on the field. They brought in temporary bleachers, and I had them in the cart, and I had my finger on the button, and I was thinking, and I was like, man, it's a lot of money,
Yes, it is.
And I was like, yeah, but it's once in a lifetime.
Yes, it is.
And I was like, but it's a lot of money, and so I just said, nah, never mind.
A lot of pros on the field that night.
Yeah, there certainly was. And I'm actually glad I didn't, because it was, it still would have been a cool game to go to, the Bush Push, but yeah, and then you talk about like you were saying, the whole. It's funny. I had some friends I went to IU with that were from the South, and they said people go up here, they go to tailgate before the game, and then the game is secondary. They go to the game first and foremost, and then they tailgate after the game, and it's more of a celebration. It's like for us up here in the North, it's hey, look at that.
Yeah, proud of you, Vinny. There you go.
Thanks. Yeah, I understand all that, because we wanted to go to Mississippi. That'd be a place we wanted to go and see.
Yeah.
So everyone, I will tell you this, to all the ones that I've ever been, they're all different. Yeah. Wisconsin doesn't have any place to actually tailgate.
Okay.
It's kind of a strange thing. You got to park in people's yards and stuff like that. Florida State was the same way. They're parking people's yards. And I'll tell you something else about Florida State, which was really funny. We're conversing with this other guy that his dad worked in the athletic department, and we're standing outside the stadium, and the next thing I know, we're walking around, and I said, I hear an elephant. And those guys, the guys I'm with, are on, yeah, right. I said, no, I hear an elephant. And so we're looking around. I said, I think it's coming from over there. And so the baseball field, there's football field, baseball field, and then over here, and you look, and if you really look over there and look close enough, it looks like big top, tents.
Tents,
yeah.
Like a circus.
Yeah, they have circus. That's a major at Florida State.
No,
that's a major.
Yeah. So because I'm asking the kid's dad, I was like, what is that? He goes, oh, the circus is right over there. Can you see the big top? And I said, no, you're telling the truth. He goes, yeah, I am. Okay, I'm going to believe you.
That's great.
Yeah. So
it's like at UNLV, hospitality is a huge major there. How to run a hotel, how to run, all that kind of stuff.
in Rome.
Yeah.
That's,
would
love to go to Tennessee, where they do the cocktail party and they come up in the boats.
And they come up on the boats. I was just getting ready to say that. No, you're good.
Yes, you've been?
No, I've not, but I've seen.
Is it right on a river?
It is.
Yeah, it's around the river, and Steve Burpo and Dennis Hartz were with us, and we got killed. Steve, he wasn't in really good shape, and we got killed him because everything around the stadium is like up and down, up and down. Even inside the stadium, you walk in, 190,000 or whatever it is. Right. That's a massive place.
Yeah.
But we went there and ate at a restaurant that I'd eaten at before when I was down there with Purdue in '94 for the basketball. They got beat by Duke. They crushed Kansas, and then that's when Quanzo Martin and Glenn Robinson went off.
Yeah. That's when Glenn Robinson dunked on Ostertag about
that's right.
the rim off. Yeah,
that's right at the end we were at.
Yeah, and then he said something to him he said something to him.
I bet it wasn't nice.
Yeah, it wasn't PG.
So yeah,
that happens.
Tennessee the fans were really nice, and one of the guys of course they're noticing that we're not cheering for either team or whatever, and the guy finally says, "Where are you guys from?" And we tell him, and he says, "Come back when we're really good, and this place will be rocking."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, when you're really good, I might come back." Yeah. So Steve's kind of a Tennessee.
I forgot. Yeah, Steve's a big
right.
because he always wears his fall foliage jacket and then says it's a UT jacket.
Yeah.
I was on the board with him for a while. I forgot.
That's your fault.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting you say that about not really being for either team. I got a friend of mine that lives in Princeton, and 10 years ago, 12 years ago, they were really good. They were undefeated the year before, and their main rival is Washington, which is where all the Zellers went. So he said, "You need to come down and watch us play Washington." So we all drove down there on a Friday night, and there were 7 of us that went, and we got there a half an hour before the JV game started, and we couldn't all sit together because there weren't 7 seats together. So we split up and we're watching the game, and I didn't really care who won, and it was so interesting. I mean, it was like small town versus small town. It was and both sides thought they were getting cheated. Both sides thought the officials were terrible.
Referee.
Yeah. And so it was the first time I'd ever been to a game where I didn't have a rooting interest. And I thought, that's really interesting that both sides think that they're getting homered, you know?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And so it was really fun.
That's why I used to tell the referees when they come when I was the athletic director, if you're the JV official, I'd walk in, show them where they were doing all that stuff. And the last thing I'd say before I shut the door was, "No overtime in the JV game."
Yeah.
I don't care how it ends. There's no overtime in the JV game.
That's funny. Just keep it moving.
Get him out.
Keep it moving. It's like Billy's daughter plays travel basketball, and he said, you know, you get on a Sunday and it's like, let's keep the games on time, and so there's fewer and fewer fouls called as the game goes, and it starts to get
kind of traveled.
Yeah,
kind of.
She sort of. Yeah, that's a Euro step.
I know a guy that ran the clock that would click 2 minutes off every chance he got too, but we won't get into that.
It's a different subject.
I've done that, so I'm not going to say anything.
Well, you're the clock keeper. You control it all.
Especially at halftime when nobody's watching.
That's right. Yeah, when no one's paying attention.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, yeah. So, let's talk about your playing here in Martinsville. So, do you know much about the history of Martinsville football, like before Coach Siderwitz got here?
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid going to the old football field. That's where I played.
At West.
Seniors, yes. You know, the cinder track and all that. And I remember as a kid, probably in 3rd or 4th grade, because I just went to the games with my dad, you know, and Dave Keister drove and drive real fast, and then he drive real slow. And I do remember that from driving up to different games and stuff. But we went there, and then we always go there early because they had to set up the equipment, and then they let the people in at 6 o'clock, and I would hear this song numerous times. You know, it was a Martinsville school song, and one of the lines that they inserted in there, "We never win and we never will." And I always thought that was very strange. You know what? For a high school kid to be going around, then there'd be a few more of them singing that, and I was wondering, why are they doing that? And then it's just one of those things. I remember my dad told this story forever and ever and ever, and Coach Siderwitz was a Rensselaer, which is our conference, is where I coached at Delphi.
Yeah.
So, and at that time, Tony Burpo, who was a Delphi coach, was still alive, and they didn't like each other very much, and they'll both admit it.
I like it.
They
makes for good games.
Yeah, I did. And Earl Hannaford was in on one of the stories, so I'm going to tell that story too, because it's a funny one, but it's a truth. But they're in a situation where Coach Siderwitz comes to Martinsville to interview. So my dad's down at the Hardee's with all those guys down there, and these couple of school board members were on. I do not remember who the school board people were. And they were blowing off about this guy, and he's won these games, and he's done this, and he's done that. And so finally they stopped talking, and my dad said, "Who said?" They said, "Well, we talked to the coach," and he said, "Oh, the coach said." He said, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you do a background check of any kind? Call anybody? Drive up there?" The other people looked at each other. My dad said, and we were like, No. So you better be doing that.
You better find out.
So they did drive up there. So they drove up there, and they found out that he was 42-14, and everything was exactly copacetic with what he said. Yeah, what he said, because that was not that was his first varsity football job. He actually coached for Bulldog Nixon at Peru, which was a big deal during that time period. And so,
you know what's funny is we had Coach in here, and he said that when he got hired at Martinsville, when he was either he'd gotten hired or he was interviewing, somebody said, "What are you doing? That's a basketball town. Like, they don't care about football." And so they moved down here, and I guess Maryland told him, "You got 2 years to get it figured out, and we're out of here because this is a." And so he went 3-6 his first year, 9-1 his second year, and the rest is history. But I think it's funny that Maryland said,
"Yeah, she put the hammer down on him."
She said, "You got 2 years to get it figured out, and we're out of here."
That's funny because if you ask Fred Cutler, if he has his wife laid law down here too.
Really?
Yeah. He told him, "If this doesn't get any better, I need to know. I really like my job."
That's funny. That's funny. So you were part of the. Okay, so tell me about what you know about the history league before Coach got here.
Well, there wasn't any.
Yeah.
And then they did a little digging on Coach, and then brought him in there, and then he started marching it forward. I mean, single-handedly. I mean, he had some good assistant coaches, but not at first. Before they started bringing all the assistant coaches in that he wanted, which was a godsend, and.
Earl came with him from.
Oh, I want to tell you that story. Let me tell you that before we go on with all that. So, because both coaches told me the same story.
That's rare.
Well, I know it is. Yeah. So they were playing at Rensselaer, and both teams were undefeated. There's another part of this. So they got up there to run the play. The time was running off the clock, and then all of a sudden, referees came in and called a timeout. You're out of the game because you're injured. Coach Hannaford said, "What do you mean I'm injured? You're injured." He says, "I'm not injured. There's nothing wrong with me." They made him go off for one play, and Delphi scored. So the next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the next year, I mean, these two men hated each other. Coach Burpo was up on the press box. The camera guy was going up there, and he wouldn't let the guy up. Yeah, he wouldn't let him up there. So he's down there, and he says, no. So finally, Coach Cyrus comes up. "What do you mean won't let us up there?" He said. So Coach Cyrus put his hand at the top level, and Burpo stomped on it.
Oh, my.
Coach didn't tell us that one.
Yeah. Oh, I bet they didn't. I'll tell all the dirt. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
I like it.
That's a true story, too. So it was a big rivalry.
So that's when Berto was at Peru.
At Delphi.
And Coach was at Rensselaer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Berto also sent a kid on there and told him to tell the wrong directions to the school because you dressed in the school. So they're driving around Rensselaer, and kids going, "Yeah, I think I was over here." And so they're driving all around Rensselaer. They show up with 5 minutes to go before the game starts. The referee says, 5 minutes.
That's it. We're starting in 5 minutes.
Wow.
That's great, man.
Oh, they're true stories.
Yeah.
Really true stories.
That's how Decatur Central is here. I mean, they're always just in the, you know what I mean? Well,
a lot of the times it seems
for everything except football. Football, they show up on Thursday night, and they're like ready to go, but everything else, they're just under the gun. So tell me about the book that your dad wrote.
Yeah, my dad and Coach Cyrus wrote a book. Coach Cyrus might have a copy of it. And it has all the teams with the pictures because he worked, my dad did, with my aunt on getting the pictures out of the library. So they finally got them out of yearbooks. And then they put the schedule of each team, and then they had the roster of each team, and then, it's just like a history.
See, I hadn't even heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my dad, he did that a long time ago. You got to remember, Coach Cyrus came, 1970 what?
70.
Well, your dad was covering when I played on the 85 team and went to the Final Four.
Okay.
And he was still covering, I believe, in Mr. Asher and Mr. Staggs, and which they're the big three, in my opinion. That was good stuff.
I got my first head coaching job in 82, and he went ahead and coached. I went ahead went to Northern Indiana. My mom came every week then to the games. Then he covered Martinsville.
Right.
And he told my mom, "I just can't." So he quit that, went into the distributing part of the paper, and then so he could come to the games too.
Yeah. So what's the name of the book?
I think it's History of Martinsville Football.
Oh, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah, I think somebody listening might have a copy of that.
Coach had it, so you have to figure it out. Coach is going to keep it simple.
Yeah, somebody has a copy of that.
Yeah, because
there might be a book in the library. I'm not even sure.
Check that out. That'd be a good one to get.
Because we've had a lot, like when we had Coach on, I was kind of trying to make the point of there was no success before I got here. In the 50 years before Coach got here, they literally had like 73 wins in 50 years, And it may not have been 50 years. It may have been 45 or 46 or whatever. But
it wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
Dismal,
yeah. And so I was trying to find something, and I really couldn't find much. And then you told me, hey, my dad wrote a book, and it's like, man, that's exactly what I've been looking for. So I need to look up and get a copy of that.
Somebody has that.
Shirley gave my dad a book, and it might be that. I bet it is, Jerry.
It is too.
Yeah.
I'll bet it is.
Yeah. So
I remember there were extra ones because we used to have them in our house. So, but I know a lot of people wanted the book.
Yeah.
So nobody got rich off of the book.
Sure.
It wasn't supposed to be like that. It wasn't supposed to be.
I bet I can find a copy of it. I bet I can track one down.
Yeah. Really easy.
And that brings me, that is my point. So then Coach gets here in 1970. They go 3-6. 71, they go 9-1. And you played what, 73 through 76?
Yeah, I played 73, 76, and on the varsity just the last 2 years.
The last 2.
76, yeah.
And so you were on the first team to beat South?
I was a sophomore.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a really important job. Coach Cyrus came down. Me and Tim Thomas were at the end of the bench. We were closest to the scoreboard at Bloomington South. He turned around to us and says, "Watch the scoreboard time." I said, "Okay," just to make sure
it was running when it was supposed to be.
Yes.
And that's funny.
Yeah.
There you go. Mom has a copy.
But that's a true story too.
I can imagine. Yeah. So what position did you play?
I played offensive tackle and defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I should have been the quarterback.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
They wouldn't let me touch a ball.
Yeah, I was guard and I wanted to play quarterback too. So
when I was in junior league, I had a black stripe, a black X, a black square, a black circle, a black rectangle, a black triangle.
Helmet decals you got.
Yeah.
That guy's mean.
Yeah. They said you can't even look at the ball. Don't even think about touching the ball, carrying the ball.
That's hilarious.
So Coach kind of gets it going right off the bat. I mean, like we said, no success at all. He comes in his first year, he's 3-6. That's the only. There's one other one, but he only had 2 losing seasons in his whole career, and one was the first one here. And then he goes 9 wins, 6 wins, 10 wins. I mean, rips off. I mean, I think he had 6 conference championships in a row in the middle to late 70s. You know what I mean? And so you take a lot of your coaching philosophies from Coach.
Yeah. When I got a head football coach and I was at Frontier, he used to come home every Christmas break.
That's where I remember he went for, Frontier.
Yeah. And then went out to his house every day.
To Coach Cywitz's house?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
An opportunity like that?
Sure.
If he could come back the next day after lunch, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
So 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And so a lot, yes. It was a nice thing to be able to stand on the sideline during the games, to go into the locker room at halftime to see how you did things.
Watch his mind work.
Yes.
Yeah.
See what you did see what the other coaches did with the players. And, if you don't do that, you have no experience in that. And it's one of those things where you've got limited time to be organized and to think about things that need to be talked about. Because I can't imagine not being in that situation and just walking into a position, you're the head coach, and all of a sudden you got something to say to all these different groups of kids. You can't say just one thing to this group, because this group might have been fantastic and this group might be bad. Yeah. So it's not the same message that you're going to get.
Yeah, you're not telling the offensive line the same message as the defensive backs.
They split us up. We go. Linemen would go one way, and Eric would come over and talk to us. And Cyrus might have something to say right off the bat or at the end. But at halftime of a high school football game is the quickest time on the planet.
It is,
because you virtually walk in there. You might want to throw some water on your face or something, and if you can take a leak, you need to real quick. But that's it. You're done. You're back out. Yeah. Real quick.
No. So getting that experience, that was A+ for me to get that too, because I also was a GA at Franklin College for 1 year.
After you graduated from Franklin?
No, during the last year I was at Franklin.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I was taking a couple classes and then was GA, and that was a good experience too, because Red Fought, Hall of Fame coach too, we were standing on the sideline and I'm watching the game, and he comes over to me. Head coach comes over to me in college games. He goes, "What's the score?" And I turned to look at the scoreboard to make sure I had it right. I said 21-12, and he goes, "It's not 21-12. You're +9. We are +9 right now. We're ahead 9." And that was a big thing too. You know what I mean?
I don't care what the numbers are.
I don't care what the numbers are. Is how much are you behind or ahead, and what can they do if they're this much ahead or behind? because you got to learn that. That's an important thing.
Yeah.
Because if they're down 9, there's only so many things they can do.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if it gets down to 30 seconds to go in the game and you're up 9, it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably
Should
over.
be a win.
Yeah, it should be over.
To that point, if big difference between being ahead 10 or being ahead 11.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So if you're ahead 11, yeah.
I used to have I got it from Lou Holtz at the clinic, and it was a little cardboard thing that you cut out about like this, and it's like 2.1 point. So if you're up like +1, what should you do? Okay, then it would tell you. If you're down 5 points, what should you do? So on every extra point up to like 35 points.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'd be at like 24 touchdowns ahead, and all of a sudden you're out there and you're going for 2, and people go from the other side are yelling, "Why are you going for 2?"
You're running it up.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't running it up. I was just going what Lou Holtz said.
Yeah.
He figured it out a lot more than I have.
Right.
I promise you that.
Lou Holtz said,
That's
do
right.
this.
Well, that's what the assistant coaches started doing. They were on the headphones. Goes, what's the chart say? Because they knew exactly what I was going to have. I'm going to look at there and say, this is this. Now, for you up 40, we would kick it.
Yeah,
go
just kick
on.
it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know the line from Woody Hayes, right? When they went for 2 against Michigan late in the game, and the guy in the press conference said, "Why'd you go for 2 there?" And he said, "Because I couldn't go for 3." which is, yeah.
That's
exactly
what Hayes
right.
against Michigan
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
So Jerry says, I worked with a guy from Frontier that Vince coached. Jerry, do you remember his name? That'd be interesting.
Interesting right there.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
Jerry said he worked with a guy from Frontier that you coached.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah, there's a few of those guys that got jobs. no, I see them. I do see a lot of them all the time. It's kind of amazing. I haven't moved. I've been in the same area. You know, I was at Frankfurt, Delphi, and Frontier. So it's right there near Lafayette. And so I still see people like on the golf course or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of it's fun to see those people.
see him grow up and kind of,
Ryan Mullins.
Oh, I know Ryan. He's a character and a half.
that's funny.
But he's a great kid. He was in the Air Force at one point.
Nice.
He served the country 2 different occasions.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Great kid.
Yeah.
Nice family.
So one of the things, like, so we talk about like in basketball, I think it's just a series of adjustments, but I think football is more so than anything. It's, I have my game plan. You make your adjustment. Now I adjust to your adjustment.
Correct.
Then you adjust to my adjustment. And do you agree that that's essentially what football is you're trying to outmaneuver the other coach?
That's what I liked about coaching.
Yeah.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
People think that's crazy. It's not even the game. And sometimes the game goes exactly as you planned, and they're not a very good coach.
Yeah.
Not your fault. I had a coach tell me that once. He said, "Man, the people we play are bad." I said, "You ought to thank them each with a Christmas card." I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If they're getting fired, you need to go to the school board meeting and demand that he keep his job.
Yeah. Vote for
So,
him.
yeah,
Right.
so don't be doing that. I mean, don't say that. Just let it ride.
Yeah.
Because I've dealt with some coaches that I had a coach one time, my first year at Frontier, matter of fact. I tried to get a game film from a guy and said, "I need a game film so I can see your team play." And he's like, "Man, I won't be able to give you that until Monday." "Okay, what time?" Well, the first time I'll be at school will be 6 o'clock Monday. So I'll be there. And so I showed up, and he got out of the car. He goes, "Man, it's awful early." I said, "Yeah, it is." I said, "But I want to see that film." He says, "Okay." He goes, "Boy, I don't know if I'll be able to see yours." He said, "I'm just not sure I have the time." And I said, "Bud, I can tell you this right now. I'll be looking at yours a lot. Not a couple of minutes. I'll be watching yours a lot."
In about 15 minutes, I'll have it on the projector.
I will.
Watch it. You know
and
what
I
I mean?
did.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, some people want to work and some people don't.
Yeah.
I guess that's one way to put it. And I don't know. I saw Coach Cyrus and Coach Eric, Coach Tedrow, Coach Kuntz. They were always working.
Yeah.
So
Every day.
So I thought that's just what you do.
Every day.
And when people would tell me that they didn't have time, what are you coaching for?
There wasn't a day you couldn't walk over there to that school Sunday through Sunday at any given time and walk in there, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of them would be sitting out there eating popcorn, discussing, or in the coach's office talking about video, or every day.
It's just one of those things that people just, I tell you, just people don't realize. I had to go speak at the Delphi Lions Club once and took a scouting report with me. I kept thinking, what am I going to talk to these people about? You know, they really don't know anything about football. Everyone thinks they do. So I'm there thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I took a scouting report with me, and what ended up happening, then I showed them what the scouting report, and they're all looking around at each other like, What? I said, yeah, they have to know all that, plus their schoolwork on Friday, and then the whole situation starts again on the next Saturday morning. I said, you don't know, but we meet Saturday morning.
Yep.
Kids come in, run, check injuries, all the stuff with the trainer, so on and so forth, and they just, I don't think they realize that. I don't think people realize what happens on Saturday, then Sunday, then Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, then Thursday, and then Friday. I don't think they realize what happens. Basketball is kind of easy to coach. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's a lot easier because if something happens, you can make a quick adjustment and do that. In football, it's a little harder. Yeah. You can make adjustments and you can do that. But basketball, you can quickly.
You can literally get up off the bench and go, hey, do this, yes. And that adjustment is right there. Yes. Yeah, football, you can't do it. Yeah.
Football one year when I was at Frankfurt, I was watching out there and called a play, and all of a sudden I saw the center pool. We have no place. Center pools. And so I'm looking there and I'm going, what is going on? Out there, and we ran the play again, and we're just killing them with this play. And so finally, I looked up, and then here they came. We scored. And Andy Cadell comes off the field to center, and he says, "We got this. The guy's too far over here. I can't cut him, so he's cutting. James Patterson's going to block him down, and I'm pulling." Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, because you're kind of like, okay, that's great.
Stepping
call.
Around and pulling through, right?
Yeah. So
that's funny.
That stuff happens a lot in football.
Yeah, and Bob talks about that a lot of times. Where like, don't be a robot. Like, I'm supposed to block this guy, but this guy ran and pulled over there, so now I don't have anybody to block. He's like, don't be a robot. Like, think. You know what I mean?
Everybody's got somebody to block.
Everybody's got somebody to block. Yeah. And do you agree that if every play is executed perfectly, it goes for a touchdown?
No.
See, I agree with that.
Yeah, I hear people at clinics stand up there and talk about this play, and then you're like, yeah, that's nice, but every play's not going for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I've seen teams get shut out.
Yeah.
So, I've been shut out. And so that doesn't necessarily happen that way.
Yeah,
one of the greatest offensive NFL history with Peyton Manning at the helm, they scored a lot of touchdowns, but it wasn't every play. So.
No.
Yeah.
So he could work you down the field though. Well.
Yeah. So I used to tell our kids, "Hey, they practice too.
Yeah.
Don't take this for granted because they're practicing this right now.
Right?
Yeah.
They're practicing."
And Peyton kind of made the game film famous. You know what I mean?
Oh,
as far as people were doing it before him, but he's the one that, I don't know if that's an accurate statement, if he made it famous, but they always talk about how much he studied.
Preparation, him and Brady and the greats. That's what they do.
Yeah, you just can't show up to a football game and go off the cuff, flying by the seat of your pants. You know what I mean? So
if they're in trouble. I can tell you that right now.
So 75 is your junior year.
Yes.
You go 8-2.
Yes.
So you what'd you guys do? You won sectional that year?
No.
I
did not. We won the year before. I had a chance. No, that sectional run did not come until I was out of school.
Okay. Yeah.
Jerry Burleson was a freshman. Was in middle school whenever I was a senior or something like that. Some type of time frame like that. It's amazing. I'm remembering all these things.
So they won sectionals 80, 81, 82.
Yeah.
Missed in 83, won 84. So they won five. Yeah. So and then what do you take from coach? What do you
a lot of organization stuff.
Yeah.
Outthink them because you can't outthink them.
Yeah.
Because you have, like I said, you have some people that really, this is what they do and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's fine. If you got better players, that's one thing to say. If you don't have better players, I can outthink you. That's what Coach Cywis says is try to disrupt their their brain. Try to disrupt that.
Yeah.
Because you run an option football, they only have 2 people that are unblocked. You have 3 people that aren't. And so their players better be a better suited player playing the position that would take 2 guys, because nobody gives anybody 2 guys or 2 gaps or whatever, 2 responsibilities. They're just not doing that these days. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
Way too much.
And the offensive linemen have gotten more athletic, as wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you
smarter
agree?
Because the coaches have teach them better.
Yeah.
you saw Coach Dave Arrett coaching offensive line,
Right.
or Coach Hannaford
Yeah.
coaching offensive line. I mean, I took those same blocking rules and everything else that we had, and I went to Indian Creek to be assistant coach my first year, and I used those. And then Steve Granat let me use those. And the next year, Roger Dodson became the head coach, and I told him, I said, offensive line I coached, but I have this group of, you just give me a play. I set up the blocking rules underneath all this. He says, if you can, I said, and our kids know those already. And so we took those and we used those blocking rules. Those blocking rules probably would work today.
Would still work.
I think that
Eric was an amazing coach. And,
fabulous.
Yeah, and loved every minute of having him playing for him.
Well, you got to think of the coaches that I had. I mean, I said this in the Hall of Fame speech whenever I gave that at Purdue. And, when you're talking about people that are in the Hall of Fame, I had Bill Cyrus, the head coach, Bill Tudrow, who's in Baseball Hall of Fame, John Coons in track and in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, Dave Arrett's in the wrestling.
Yeah.
Along with his son was in the wrestling same year. I mean, it's one of those situations that who gets coached by all those Hall of Fame players? Who does?
We always say that they all could have been head coaches.
Oh, no doubt.
Everyone, Coach Coons could have been a head coach. Coach Arrett could have been a head coach. Earl, did Earl end up being a head coach?
He did not.
He did, but he could have been.
Oh, yeah.
Tut would have been. I mean, Tut invented the bubble screen. Did you know that?
I do.
Yeah.
I've seen him invent a lot of stuff. I did not know this until after, but the Bloomington South where Steve Burpo threw the ball and Bennett caught it and all that. You know that they practiced that this many times once.
Right.
Really?
And Coach Iris was not a practice.
when they practiced it because
at the end of the game, Citro kept running up to him. He says, "Run the Bloomington special."
Right.
And he's looking at him like, "I don't know what the Bloomington special is."
Right.
So he's run the Bloomington. So he said, finally, just turn around, run the Bloomington special, and he scores. And so, it's you don't have assistant coaches like that. You know what I mean?
The back and forth was the best because so many different personalities between them all. Coach Kuntz was the granite rock.
Correct.
I don't think he ever smiled a day in his life, and if he did, he wasn't going to show it. But Tut was always a character. Coach Arrett was more like Coach Kuntz, very little, but he was tricky, sarcasm, and fun. And Coach Siderwitz was so wound tight. And they clashed. Don't get me wrong, but man, when you put them all together on the field, it was fun playing for. And just knowledge, just like you said.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the best in the business.
It's all those guys could have been head coaches. You also have to understand that during this time period that I was in Martinsville, Sam Alford was here.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that's who my freshman baseball coach was. And it's just...
he's coming in. I haven't set a date with him yet, but he said, so Sam's coming in either next Sunday or the week after. So, yeah.
He'll tell some stories.
Yeah.
I got some stories about him, but I'm not telling them.
We'll wait to see if he shares them.
Yeah, well, I bet he doesn't share these. But, no, I mean, we were just lucky to have all those people.
Yeah.
I mean, nowhere else. People are talking. It's like, I didn't know what the number was, and I didn't really care. But I had 14 people that were assistants for me to become my head coach.
Go on to become head coaches.
And a lot of people think I go interview for like a job to be athletic director or whatever. People are amazed at that. I didn't know how amazing it was, so I started talking to people around.
Yeah.
Because Scott West came and coached for me in Frontier, and he became head coach of Monrovia. So it's just it's amazing. I've had some quality people.
Yeah.
I mean, some real quality people do that.
It's funny. A lot of people have their opinions about Martinsville, and you're not going to change a lot of that. You know what I mean? But I never, and the story and everything of what generates a lot of it. But when we were prepping for Coach Siderwitz to come in, I was looking at his overall record, and then I thought it'd be interesting to see what his record is against certain schools or whatever. So like Rushville, he was 8-0. Connorsville, he was 7-0. Columbus East, he was like 7-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's why everyone hates us because he went around the state and pounded everybody into the ground. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's like 6-2 against Center Grove. Now Center Grove wasn't the Center Grove that they are now,
right?
But still, I think he was 1-1 against Warren Central or 1-2 against Warren Central.
They beat us twice my senior year, second game of the year, and last game.
Yeah,
so I know there's 2 losses there.
Yeah, but I mean, he just like the Terre Haute schools. I think he lost.
Yeah, we never lost.
I mean,
we did. My senior year we did, and I saw one of the, speak about coaching moves.
Yeah.
I saw one of the smartest coaching moves I ever thought of. And people do it now, but during that time you wouldn't. Coach Chetero, again, is right on Cyrus's ear. We're down 7-6. And he's like, there's like a minute and a half to go. We got no more timeouts. And so they're on like the 20-yard line ready to score. So Coach Chetero looks at Cyrus and says, let them score. And Cyrus is like, what are you talking about? Of course, Coach Coots went crazy. He said, no. And he said, yes, we have to let them score. We're not going to have a chance. They're going to have 14 or 13. If they want to go for 2, get 15. We're in the same boat we were in.
Yeah.
Let the kids score, run down there, take the extra point. It's 14-6. We got down and we threw a ball into the end zone on the last play of the game, had a chance to tie the game.
Yeah.
So it's just that knowledge. I mean, being ready, being for the next play, being for the next thing.
Because if you stiffen up and play defense, and
they're going to run the clock out.
Yeah, they're going to run the clock out, and you're never going to get the ball back. But if you let them score, like you said, and they're not realizing that you're letting them score, so they're not going to go for 2.
Nobody did that during that time period.
We got a Rushville fan, Dennis.
Dennis Hartzler?
He said, 1,300 students. Rushville had 750.
Okay, well.
That's not my fault.
Yeah.
Not my fault. I didn't ask him how many kids they had in the line. I didn't ask anything.
But that's a lot of it, though. And seeing now that's kind of flipped now. Martinsville used to be the second.
I bet you they got less than that, 750.
Oh, yeah, probably at Rushville now. Probably, yeah. So now, until 2 years ago, Martinsville was the second smallest 5A school, and then we just recently dropped to 4A, and now we're one of the bigger 4As. But we still play Decatur Central because they're in our conference. We still play South. You know what I mean?
I heard their numbers are down too, though.
Yeah,
I think lots of people are down.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations with education and just what's going on.
Right.
People are saying, where are these kids going?
Yeah.
Some of them homeschool, some of them just different places.
Yeah. And do you see the numbers declining in football participation?
No.
Really?
I don't.
It's staying solid?
Nope. Talking to a lot of my friends, I just talked to Sisson at McCutcheon, used to be the head coach at Delphi and a good friend of mine, and they had 79 kids. That's for the top 3 grades.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And so...
At Delphi?
No, at McCutcheon.
McCutcheon. Okay, McCutcheon, yeah.
Harrison's school has gone up to 2,200, he told me the other day. So there's a lot of... there's a lot of kids playing football right now.
Yeah.
The single A schools are having trouble with getting kids out, because when I was at Frontier, there was one year we had less than 200 students in the school.
Yeah.
And we had the 200 students, and then you're trying to get kids to come out and everything. And that year we only had I think it was 15 senior boys.
Wow.
Thank God 13 of them played football.
Yes.
So
yeah, because if you figure 200 students, half of those are girls.
Correct.
So you only got 100 boys.
More than half.
Yeah, more than half are
More
girls.
than half, yeah.
So that cuts your numbers right there. Yeah. So
the state tried to get the Catholic schools to go up, and so what did they do? They were only counting boys at one time. Then they said, we'll be able to get them. We'll count the girls in there too. And then
they flipped it.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
That's funny. Do you think the parochial schools should be their own tournament, their own league?
Well,
it's a touchy subject. Probably.
I can't see. Here's the thing I keep telling people. I don't think we can do anything else, because like the Coaches Association represents the Catholic schools too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah. And
so you have a situation where you have some Catholic school, like in the Indianapolis Lutheran.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they have under the number of 1A. No, I can't see them playing Ben Davis.
Right.
I know the kids are a little different, and but that would be totally unfair. To move up one class, maybe that wouldn't be as fair. But you're talking about other people's, like Caston last year, the last 2 years up north of Rochester there, or south of Rochester there, they only had less than 20 kids.
Really?
Oh, there's a bunch of them like that. And I'm telling you this right now, there are people talking about 8-man football.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, who was that? What did someone brought that up?
Well, I know they still play in like West Texas.
Texas, they do.
Yeah, that they play 7-man football there.
So Iowa plays 8-man.
Yep.
Really?
There are some people that still play, and so they are debating that right now to what to do. I think people are not in an uproar, but they're in a situation where it's so new and everything. What would that do to the whole class system, and what would it do? I think you'd have 8-man football people. And then they might join into, because then the next year they have 24 kids and they can join into the regular.
Right, yeah.
And so you might only have, instead of having 56 in single A, you might have 45 or whatever. And then the number of people that are in the, the smaller group, 8-man football, maybe it would save their football, and maybe it would save football for them to move back into, to another situation.
For the school corporations, the idea is to put fans in the seats, however you got to do it. And because that's a lot of time that's the cash cow for a lot of the programs.
Yes, it is.
And what is it? The center, 2 guards, and then all the skill positions?
Yes, I believe it is.
That's what they get.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're just...
I get the 1 running back, not 2.
1 running back and 2 wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 3 linemen, a quarterback, a wide receiver. Yeah. Okay.
But there's people pumping toward that. Some of the smaller schools, because there's so much pressure on them to get, you're trying to run a varsity schedule of 14 kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids out there. We had it last year. There were teams that could not play football.
Yeah. Because of COVID, people get...
Yeah, and what about COVID? You get 3 or 4 kids. Ben Davis loses 3 or 4 kids.
It's no big deal.
Compared to Casson had 19 kids and they're down to 16.
Yeah.
Right.
That is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, you lose 5 kids, it's a quarter of your team, so, yeah.
I text Ryan Mullins and he said Vince was the Veer offense expert. There you go.
Well, I don't know about that. I had some pretty good players.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Your first, when you got your coaching, so how'd you end up at Frontier? You said you went to Indian Creek for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then how'd you get the Frontier job?
Then what ended up happening was that I had applied for some jobs. I didn't have enough experience. And thought I might have had a chance for the job at Indian Creek. And then Roger Dodson came in, which was a godsend. I like Roger. There's no problem. I stayed 2 more years after I didn't get the job. I enjoyed Roger a lot. And then I ended up at Frontier because I was looking for a head job. And Coach Cyrus said, one of those things you got to do is just got to wait for the right moment. The right moment might be in May, January, or into August. Who knows? And so I got a call from people at Frontier and Doug Leslie, who was the athletic director at that time. So Tony Burpo was still living, and Randy German, my college roommate, was from Delphi. And I called him and said, "Hey, can you get a meeting with me and Coach Burpo? I'm going to go interview at Frontier." And he said, "He'll tell you to take it." I said, "Well, I want to talk to him." That's fine. We can meet at the country club and all that, because the coach before me was the former Purdue quarterback. And so he was an assistant for Coach Burpo for 1 year. And so Coach Burpo was very well respected. So we got there and Randy and I spoke and talked and everything. And I had just interviewed, it's kind of funny because just the day before I'd interviewed at Tri Central High School, which is in the northern part of Tipton, that had the state's longest losing streak.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was, I really wasn't worried about that. But then I got that call, and then Randy German was telling me, Coach Burpo tells you take the job, you better take the job. So, of course, when I came back from all that and told Coach Cyrus, I saw your old buddy, Coach Burpo. he said, he ain't no buddy of mine.
That's funny.
Yeah, but he talked highly of his coaching ability and his teams and all that. So when Randy said, if he tells you to take that job, you take it. Coach Cyrus said, you never know when the right time is going to be. Because I went to the interview at Rushville, and I said, I don't think I want it. And he's like, are you sure? I said, I don't think so. And he goes, just remember, I told you, if you don't think this is right, I get it. If you think it's right, you better not turn them down.
Yeah.
And so it just, so I went to Frontier, and everyone had won there. Football was big at Frontier. Matter of fact, Doug Leslie and I were laughing on a Monday morning after we played in the regional, and the game was at our place, and we had won the game. I remember who we had beat, and then the next week we had to play Jimtown University.
Yeah,
and because they're 3A now, or maybe 4, and whenever I was coaching Frontier, they were 1A, so a little different situation. And so, you're out there trying to play against that, which was. It was okay. It was fine. But you got to understand who you're playing. And so they were a little different than us. You know what I mean? They were just a little different than us. And the league that they played in was way different than us.
Yeah.
And so I went there because everyone had won there. And so
previously.
Yes. And so, the very first year they had football, the coach went undefeated.
Nice.
I met him, at the golf course at Delphi. He was playing golf there one day. And so John Conley. And so, I went to Frontier just to be a head coach.
Be a part of that.
Yeah, I wanted to be a decision maker. I didn't want to be the person on the side. Though Roger Dodson and Steve Granat both let me make a lot of decisions, and it was great coaching for both of those guys. But either you're going to be a head coach or you're not.
Right.
And Dave Eric told me that. He had kids, and then his wife got entrenched here, and he got entrenched here, and then if it wasn't going to be close, and like you said, you're very careful with what you do.
Yeah.
So you got one person on the other side saying, be careful what you do.
Yeah.
You might not get an opportunity to be careful what you're doing because you might not get another chance.
Yeah.
But that's how it is in coaching.
That's a good point. Like your wife gets a job here. Yep. She's enjoying, the kids will grow up there 10, 12 years old. They got all their friends. You uproot them and take out. Yeah, that's a tough decision to make.
It is.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make it.
Yeah.
So I didn't get married.
Nice.
That's a true statement. That's a fact.
So Michelle says the town I live. So Michelle lives out in Iowa.
Yeah.
The town I live in out here, we may have 15 football players.
Yeah.
They were in the parade yesterday. So do they play 8-man football, Michelle, or do they play?
I think they do out in Iowa.
Yeah, they do. They're 8-man football.
And then Jerry said his son lives in Oklahoma.
They play some?
In his area, they play 8-man football, yeah.
There's more people play it than you think.
Yeah, than you would realize,
yes.
Yeah. I wonder
Iowa for the longest time played the girls basketball where they wouldn't advance across. Yes.
6-person.
Yeah. Wouldn't advance across half court.
Yeah.
Defense stayed down there.
And offense stayed down there, yeah.
That's my type of basketball.
Yeah. You'd be on the offensive end.
I got some news for you.
Right.
You'd be the same place I would be.
Right.
Back to the basket.
Right.
So I wonder what kind of an adjustment it is like for a kid to grow up playing 8-man football, and then he gets a scholarship to Iowa, and boom, he's playing 11-man football. Right. Because, that's got to be a huge adjustment. I mean, even if you're a DB, you got different reads. If you're a lineman, you've never played with a tackle and a tight end before.
How about a coach going from 11-man to 8-man?
Yeah.
That would be a little tough. You only thought about 11-man football forever.
For your whole life.
Yeah, your whole life. It's all you've been around.
Yeah. And you think about but I think of parts of Texas being sparsely populated, but I wouldn't think of Iowa, but it's all those farming communities.
Yes, cornfields out there.
It's all those farming communities that don't have a lot of people. Yeah. So back to Ryan's comment about the veer. So that came from Coach
via Houston, didn't it? Didn't he catch it down there?
And from Coach Cywis.
Yeah.
Another nice thing Coach Cywis did, which cost me nothing except for my time. He'd bring in a lot of people. Like I said, a lot of people don't understand what always goes on, but he'd get the bank somehow involved in this. Then they give him some money, and then he'd pay like an offensive line coach to come here.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 30 people that would be at this clinic, and this guy would be talking all day about one thing.
About offensive line.
Beer football.
Right.
And so, you're getting that from Bill Yeoman. He invented it, and then you got a guy
from Houston.
Yeah. Then he comes and does all the talking, which is good enough for me because, like I said before, Bowden drew up that play,
right,
and then said, "Here, we're running that this week. Block it.
Figure it out."
So I'm in there listening to this guy speak, and he did that. I don't know how many times. It was double figures, and so I'm feeling really good about that. And so, I made the parade to all these different places that have option football when it was still going, and I've been to. It's kind of funny to even say it, but I've been to North Dakota State 3 times for football and practice, spring football practice.
That's funny.
It is. It kind of is because you're watching that movie Fargo and
right.
Well, let me tell you something. Mo Moriarty and myself went there, and we went and checked in at the university, did all that stuff, and then we walk over. There's a Burger King across the parking lot, right by the dome. Okay. And the first girl, some high school girl at the Burger King. Hey, can I help you?
Yeah.
And of course, I'm trying not to laugh because, oh man.
Because you think it's just in the movies. Or
I know you are.
Really,
Let me tell you something. I've been some places where it's like we went to see Notre Dame play. Who were they playing? LSU. We just happenstance we're going to go to bowl game in Shreveport, Louisiana, and when they announced the names, they says LSU and Notre Dame. We're like, oh my God.
Can't beat that.
But before we're walking around the state fairgrounds there, and asked this girl, she's selling programs, says, what grade are you in? She says, I'll be a senior. Oh, I'm a junior now. And so we're like, oh, okay. So one of the guys with me says, so you guys study the Civil War? And she said, Civil War? Said, yeah, Civil War. You know, Civil War. No, we don't study that. You're taking U.S. history? Yeah. So I'm like, so finally, like, what wars do you study? Civil War? That doesn't sound familiar. I said North and the South. Oh, war between the states. War
between the states, right.
She did not want to call it the Civil War.
Yeah.
She did not want to say that. War between the states.
Funny.
We walked off of there because everyone still has a perception of what Civil War, or perception of Martinsville, or perception of this. And so, that was a little strange.
That is
that
interesting.
was strange.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it that she said that.
I got a question about the veer in football in general. It was just basically reading the end.
By accident.
Yeah.
You'd realize that, right? Yeoman was at practice. He had the good running back. The running back went to take the ball, and he was supposed to hand it off.
Right.
And the guy crashed down. He poked it out and ran about 45 yards in practice during a spring practice.
So there's where you're going to read your end.
And so all of a sudden, Yeoman said, "Come here."
Right.
And the guy come running down there, and he goes, "What happened there?" He goes, "Well, that guy was coming to tackle him. I pulled it out and just ran."
Right.
Hoping to get 6 yards.
I just ran down there. So come here, and told everybody come over there and says, "Now let's walk through this." He said, and that's how it started. That's exactly what happened.
So it was modern football.
Yep.
The mesh
They're
point is
using
now in the pocket.
They're still using it.
But it's a different read.
Whatever you're going to say, yes, they're still using it.
That's what I'm getting to. You're not running down the line and making the mesh point behind the guard of the tackle.
You kind of are, because they've changed the rule this year. I was talking to one of the high school coaches that if you do like run bubble screen off of it or whatever, fake the handoff, start running, throw the ball out there.
Right.
There's all kinds of things you can do. Well, they've now limited that the offensive lineman used to have a 3-yard cushion.
Right.
They go down there, you fake the thing, they run 3 yards. Then it was hard for the defensive backs to read if that guy's coming downfield or not coming downfield. Right. And if he is coming downfield, then I'm backing up. And if he's not, then I'm, it's going to be a run. And so they're trying to get the rules to catch up with the game.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're trying to get that. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Because you've got the defense. Remember I told you got to mess with their computers?
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. I don't care when anyone wrote that or where Coach Cyrus got that, but that's what it is. You're trying to mess with their computer. So you run option football, or you run some type of pass play that's got options in there, because it's one of those things. I asked a friend of mine, how many pass plays do you run? He goes, 1. I said, really? He goes, I swear to God, we run a drop back pass play. He says, nobody ever does the same thing because the defense has changed. And so that was Greg March at Frontier. He said, yeah, we just do this, and then they run down the thing and look, is that guy standing there? I go over here. That guy, does that, and the quarterback looks over there. Oh, there's a guy there, and now I'm throwing over here. It's not as complicated as people think that it is. It's just the reps over a period of time of making your computer work right. Yeah, theirs work wrong.
Do you ever play the Madden football?
Never have.
So I read an article.
Tell me where you beat him or something?
No. I read an article where they said a lot of the quarterbacks now are so good because the Madden football is so realistic that they can read the defenses they've been playing Madden since they were little, and they can make the defensive reads, and they know. And so then when they go out there and actually play the real game, it's very similar to Madden. Yeah, I mean, and
technology's. Imagine, and I'll make this brief, but imagine fighter pilots in this country that can sit down in a computer simulation and fly over every terrain in this world, and know where they're going. And we've been practicing that for 30 years, and every bush, shrub, so take that to football, same thing.
Yeah, because there's only so many things you can do on defense. I don't care what it says.
Right.
Because if you do something with the secondary, then you can only do so much at the front. You only got 11 guys.
Yeah, if you play
11.
Yeah, if you play nickel, that only leaves so many up front. Yeah, and so
it depends on how hard you want to work.
Right.
Again.
So the veer is still there. It's just the mesh point is different.
We went to one-man veer and went to a situation having 2 wideouts and 2 wingbacks, and I would never have done that before, and then went to North Dakota State, and all of a sudden said, here we go. Here's what we're doing.
And essentially, that's what Center Grove continues to win with, right?
That's right.
Because
you can outman them.
Yeah.
Just outflank them. I don't care what you call it. It's just one of those things is don't attack walled cities. You see a bunch of people over there on defense. It's like
over here.
Earl Hannaford. I remember one time, Coach Cyrus told me there was something happened. They had this play they were running for a 2-point conversion. Earl Hannaford came over as a freshman and says he went up to the line and says he took the ball and started running around the left end. And the play was supposed to be just a quarterback sneak up the middle. And so, of course, Cyrus, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Earl said, Coach, they had a bunch of guys over there. So I ran over there. It's not as complicated as you think it is. Now, some people make it complicated.
What did Yogi Berra said? Hit it where they aim.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I always tell my wife, like when we're watching games, I'm like, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room all the time. Sometimes it's just simple. Like when you have Cody Zeller and they don't, just throw him the ball.
That's right.
When you have Tim Duncan and they don't, just throw him the ball. Yeah. When you've got Deion Sanders and they don't, just throw him the ball.
Throw the ball to him.
Yeah,
he's going to pick it off. And score.
So we had Eric Moore in, and he was telling us about coaching in Florida, and I was listening to him, and so he's talking, and my mind's just racing 100 miles an hour, and he's kind of telling us timelines and everything, and he's Central Florida at this time and everything, and I said, "You ever coach against Deion?" And he said, "No, I never coached against him, but I coached Deion."
Oh.
And he said, "But he didn't play at our school very long." Oh. So he just kind of glossed over it,
right?
And that was that, and he didn't really open it. Well, I found out later he kicked Deion off his team. And then Deion transferred to another school, and then later that year, Eric Moore's team beat them, and so I guess there was some animosity, but I never did get the story behind what happened. But
yeah, well, it can happen to good guys, little guys. We were in the same boat. We were 0-3 one year at Frontier. Coaches came to the meeting Sunday. I decided we are kicking someone off the team Monday. The coach was going, "Who?" I said, "I don't know yet, but I think I got a pretty good idea." Kicked off 4 kids, won the next 8, won the sectional.
Nice.
So sometimes you can figure it out.
Something was pinpoint, yeah.
So I knew.
Just troublemakers,
just wouldn't come to practice. Weren't dependable. Nothing. We had been through all that, and so we had fought that for 1 year, and everything was fine. And then I'm going to be part of this team, and I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to take some people with me.
Yeah.
Take your 3 buddies and
get stepping. Yeah.
Your stuff up there.
Those are the kind of people that I talk to my kids about, and like you can't win with those kind of people.
No.
Like in life or in sports or whatever. Like
can't hire them.
Yeah, you can't hire them. You can't, and that's what I try to instill them. Don't be that guy. Don't be that person. I mean, good enough is not good enough. You know what I mean? Like, if you think, oh, that's good enough, it's probably more than likely not. You know what I mean? It's okay to do extra. It's okay to do more than the minimum. You know, that's what I always tell mine. It's okay to do more than the minimum. And they probably get sick of hearing it, but
I don't.
You know what I mean?
Sitting here and I don't get sick of hearing that.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, I don't know. And those kind of kids that like you were saying, you guys were successful the year before, so they want to be a part of it,
right?
But they don't want to work at it. They just want to coast and be a part of it.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Vince, I just want to say your dad was the best.
Thanks,
I
man.
worked with him, and he's the one that got me doing this crazy.
Appreciate
That's
it.
another story.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
See you, buddy. See you, Scott.
Thank you.
Did your dad do radio?
Yeah.
I think he did with my grandpa, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I thought when we were talking. I was talking to my mom, and she said that she was 99% sure that they did radio together. Yeah, so
that was a treat in the car too.
Oh, I bet. You probably learned some phrases.
I did. I use them too.
You ever play golf with him?
No, I never did that.
I heard I never did either, but I heard that he could swing a club and he could throw a club. So yeah.
I've stopped that.
Yeah.
Once I figured out that costs money when you break it.
And it just costs you extra steps because now you got to go get it and then bring it back. Yeah.
I just use a cart, so I don't worry about that.
So you go through. So as soon as you get to Frontier, you guys kind of hit it off, right? I mean, your first coaching job, your first year, you go 7-3. You should
have been fired.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, we went to South Newton. We had won the first playoff game, and then we played at South Newton, and we got there, and it was pouring down. I mean, I don't know what it was about South Newton, but it either rained us out and we had to come back the night. I think that happened 3 times in the 7 years that I was there. So we get there, and it is a mud bog. I mean, if you found a blade of grass, you might as well say, this is a 4-leaf clover, and everybody would have believed you because it was water. It never stopped raining from the night before. And so we're ahead 6-0. And second half, we're ahead, and nobody can move the ball. And I'm thinking, we just need to get the time off the clock. That's what we need to do. So Scott West was upstairs. Says, we just need one pass to get to the touchdown because these guys are playing too close line. And I watched, and he was right. But quarterback couldn't grab the ball to throw it. He just kept going straight up in the air. So he threw it, and he underthrew it, and they grabbed it and ran all the way back. And then I was like, what's going on? So we're ahead 7-0, and then we're ahead 76. Well, they knew this was their only chance. They were going to.
So they went for 2.
Oh yeah. So all of a sudden, from the sideline, they threw the tee, and the kicker grabbed it and threw it back. And then I was like, "They're going for 2." He got us outside of us, and we got beat 8-7. I should have been fired. I should have
for calling that pass play.
Yeah, I should have been fired. But yeah, we went 7-3, and it was a good start, and we had almost everybody back
the next year.
Yeah, and so we ended up winning the sectional. And and the second, I don't remember if it was the first year or the second year, but North White was the favorite. And we beat them in double overtime during the season. And then we beat them we ran the opening kickoff back, and we intercepted a screen pass and ran it back and won 13-0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You talk about every play counts.
Yeah.
I can't help it, but every play counts.
So when, to run a kickoff back, is that just making guys miss, or can you block that? Or
you can block it.
Yeah.
We'd simply, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on kickoff return, so we went to a wedge kickoff, and then depending where they kicked it off from, like if he kicked off the left hash, everybody met it on the left hash. If you kicked it in the middle, we met in the middle.
Frank Beamer made a living off the special teams.
Did. Yep.
From Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that's another place I've been.
Yeah.
So, but they, I think you can do stuff like that, but all you have to have is a little seam.
Yeah.
And we had a little seam and ended up winning the game 13-0.
Unless you have a Dion or a Hester, then it doesn't.
Yeah, I've seen all that too.
Yeah. It's interesting. Those are the games you remember forever because, like you said, the only 2 times you scored was a pick six and a
correct.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? I mean, never would have thought. And while I was screaming, we're going to run back out the kick. Now the next time they get the ball, they're going to throw a screen. Right. And we're going to run, and we're taking that back too.
Yeah. So it was the first 2 possessions of the game.
It was the first half. The first possession was a kickoff return, and then we did it right before the half. So then they knew they had to score. And that first year, I had taken all the older kids and put them on the defense, and then took all the younger kids with some skill and put them on the offense. We only had 2 guys going both ways at Frontier.
Really?
So yeah, we had some pretty good players, and like I said, people wanted to play football, and that made a big difference. But yeah, that's how it was. Our quarterback. This is funny how things work out. But the very first day I ever met the team was the Thursday before, the Friday before the next Monday. Okay, I haven't seen a player. So I'm standing up there with Marshall Oatley, who just went to the Hall of Fame. He was an assistant for me in West Lafayette.
Nice.
And so we were standing up by the locker room, and Marshall's standing up there. So I'm asking him, I say, who's this kid? He goes, that kid started. There's the starting quarterback from last year. I mean, we had a boatload of kids coming back. I was like, okay. He goes, but they're out of shape bad. They're bad. Like, he goes, we really haven't had time to do anything this summer. And the other coach had left kind of in the middle, and they were trying to find a basketball coach and a football coach. And so what ended up happening, I'm looking down there, and this kid grabs the ball and goes, and I went, who is that? He's that's Matt Gagnon. He plays wide receiver. I said, not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, he does not play that anymore. And I said, no. And so that year we were 7-3, and we got beat by 2 other good teams. And then the game with the weather was bad. We'd already pounded them. And poor coaching job. I should have been fired. I should have been fired. But so we put all the younger kids on the offense and all the older kids on the defense, and it was a good deal. It was smart to have done that. And this kid ended up throwing for, I think the number's 70 touchdown passes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so at one point, which I did not know, but when his junior year, we beat Caston 47-25, and he threw 7 touchdown passes at state record in one game.
Wow.
We needed every point
to
win the game. Yeah.
And this is the kid that used to play wide receiver.
Yes.
And you saw, and he was just goofing around before practice.
That's a good call, Coach.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Marshall wasn't sure that was going to be the right call, and I said, I haven't seen him play, but I know I can teach him to do everything else I need him to do, but we don't have but one guy that can do that.
Right.
And he said, yeah, you're probably right on that.
So then the kid that had been playing quarterback,
he went. Let me tell you about that kid. During practice, we made him play at least every position one play. He went from quarterback to tight end to running back to wide receiver, center, knew every position. But that's the type of kid we had.
Yeah.
It was a fortunate break for me.
Yeah.
And so, he didn't care. He just wanted to win.
Yeah.
And we did win.
Yeah. Those are the special kids that,
they are.
That don't care.
His brother, I saw his brother.
Take 11 of those any day.
Yeah, I'll take 13 of them.
Yeah.
But his brother is in charge of Rusty Callaway. He's in charge of a military Air Force base in Missouri.
Really?
Yep.
He's the general?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he is.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
It is for him.
So you won sectionals that year?
Yes, that was the first one.
That was your first one. And then you won 4 in a row? Is that right?
We won that one and 4 in a row. No, I think we won three in a row and then 2.
And then 2 after that?
Yeah, because we went to the semi-state twice.
Okay. And then, so you get beat by Jimtown.
Yes.
And they're like the school in that area, right? So how do they continue to be good all the time? It's the same question.
Here's the thing, and I said, after we got beat by Jimtown the second time, it's one of those situations where, I don't know if you know what happens after the game, but they have a press conference area, and then the loser goes first and the winner goes last because he's got a lot to do with his team and everything else. And they just took both schools press and went in there so everybody could hear the questions. It goes faster.
Oh, gotcha.
They got a long drive and all that. But, you're looking there and across there, and then it's Bill Sharp's coaching, okay? Another Hall of Fame coach. Well, he used to be assistant coach to at Franklin Central, to Chuck Stevens. Well, I don't know what you know, but I know 80, 81, and 82, Franklin Central was probably the best team in the entire state.
Yeah.
So you're coaching against somebody that has coached against really good people, has really good training, is a good football coach, has good assistant coaches, and so they practice too.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations.
They're trying to.
And they've got a good team, and they've got good players, and they've got everything that you want. So, like I said, now they're 4A. They just had enough people building and moving out there. It just happened to be they were in the building time when I was at Frontier, and they were
moving along. Yeah. So, yeah, because it's kind of like the thing I always say about Center Grove is like, how are they good every year? And a lot of it is coaching. And
it is. If you look at their staff and you look through there, because Brad Timmons, Tom Blank used to be here.
Tom.
Joey.
Yeah.
Barry for a little while.
Barry Boland, yeah.
And so you got that, and then you got people like Brad Timmons played for me at Frankfurt, and he's coaching down there.
Okay.
And so, you got good, solid people, and that's where that starts.
Yeah.
And the kids love them, and, their kids are good, but they didn't get good by standing around. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. When Joe was here, I knew Joey growing up and watched him play and everything, but I hadn't talked to him in 20 years, or whatever. And he started talking football, man. That dude knows football, man. I was impressed with just everything. He was just whipping out stats and more than stats. It's theories and philosophies and do this. I was just impressed by how much he knows. And he's the assistant. He's feeding.
But he's in charge of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those situations where, luckily, right away, his dad was coach. Luckily for him, his dad was coach successful, and then the team was successful. And it goes on and on and on. These people they don't turn lucky.
Right.
That ain't happening.
Right.
I don't care who you think you are or what's going to happen, but that doesn't happen. I don't know of anybody that isn't successful, isn't working hard.
Right.
Point that person out to me.
Yeah, I'd
like to lay it on the couch a couple of times, but I couldn't lay on the couch.
Yeah.
So I guess I wasn't that smart.
That's why I always tell my kids, I was like, there are some kids that can just fall off the couch and be good.
Yep.
But you two aren't one of them, because I'm your dad and your mom's your mom.
That's right.
My wife can barely walk and chew gum at the same time, so she's not athletic at all, and you see me, so
For a team like that, though, when you have a team, it's one of those situations where it's like I used to tell our kids was when I had my team meeting. We're having this meeting, and I told kids, I said, this is kind of like the Army, where you're looking at certain things, and you want to be on the field with this kid and this kid, and you don't want to be on the field with this kid, or you're in a foxhole, and you're thinking, who would I want to be in a foxhole with? You know what I mean? There's some of you, it's like I told my quarterback that was really good, not you. Because I've told you if somebody's chasing you, fall down. We're not doing that. So not you, but some other people. Yeah, there's people I'd pick here to be in the foxhole with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's not easy, or it's not hard to figure those people out pretty quickly. The ones that you want to be with, and the ones that you know what I mean. That it doesn't take long to make that separation.
No.
I mean,
we used to do that with drills, and half the team would line up. Get lined up. We do some type of drill. Offensive, defensive drill or something. Who thinks they're going to win over here? Who thinks? And so sometimes there'd be one kid over here.
Yeah. That's funny.
They'd win.
That'd
be the guy that won. This kid and everybody else had down road and back.
Right.
So that was a long.
You call them find out drills?
Yeah. There were some places in the ground that were like scuffed up a lot.
Yeah.
Kids were in the same one.
You have pole orchard?
We did not have a pole orchard.
Yeah.
We had other drills that were similar to that, but we did not have a pole orchard.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have had one. I could have had one. We just didn't do it.
Probably frowned upon them nowadays.
I think it depends on how you look at it. I think some people would.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have at Frontier, Frankfurt, or Delphi.
They would
no
have been.
way.
They would have been with it.
Yeah, wouldn't. That would not have been a problem.
Yeah.
So
I always think about Joe was a good coach. My youngest son. Yep.
Yeah, like I said, I hadn't talked to Joe for a year. I mean, we just never had any.
He was they were 83 team, I think. We got beat by Castle. No. Yeah.
They were
Bancroft.
83 was 6-4. 82 was 11-1.
That's who it was in. Castle beat him on that flea flicker, and then Johnny Samuelson got interference in the end zone.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore, and that team, and I'll boast our own because 85 we were solid, but that team was as good as it gets, both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And I think Rob Bancroft was one of the better quarterbacks that's underrated in Martinsville history. Scotty was, I think, the year before, 80 and 81. But yeah, Scotty West was tough too, though. I always think back about what some of the stuff Coach Seidrich would say when you mess up on a game, and they're gonna analyze it, and you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb on the video, and he'd always stop it. Sisson, you got a girlfriend, mm-hmm. and you're screwed no matter what you say. Yeah, because if you say yes, get rid of her, and if you say no, get one. So, yeah. Stuff like that every day,
We used to have kids at the Frontier down and back. I mean, there's a road right down the other end of the field and come right back, down and back. So, same thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it. It was too funny not to do. So, kids would come run. We've run about 10 of these. And so, finally, they must have been thinking because they went down the other end. And all of a sudden, they were kind of talking. They come running back, and I come back. I said, Tommy Horner. How you feel? He goes, I feel exactly like you want me to. And I said, we're done. And then I had to come up with another one because
right.
got the magic answer.
Right. That's good stuff.
It was.
Funny.
I was too dumb not to think of that.
Yeah. I was just playing a golf tournament. That was at the end of, beginning of July, and 3 of those guys were on that team, and we laughed about that going around that golf course.
That's funny.
Just exactly how you want me to do.
And then you stand there and go,
practice is over.
Yeah. I was ready. I was done.
Yeah.
I was done.
That's funny.
That's good stuff.
So we had Bud Wright in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
He's a special guy.
Yeah. He drove down in a snowstorm. We had him in like
he wouldn't care.
Yeah. It was late February.
You got
early.
a tie in here.
Yeah.
You got a tie in here. Tell him the story.
I think it was like early March. So like snow.
We got that late snow.
Yeah, snow should have been over,
yeah.
But yeah. So he comes down and it's snowing like crazy, and we're gonna go live about 7:00. Well, Bob calls him at 5:30 and says, "Hey, Coach, man, I don't know," so Bob used to coach at Sheridan with him, and he goes, "Coach," he's like, "I don't know if you should come down." He said, "We're already at Grays, man." He said, "I'm coming down." He said, "I'm getting some Grays, you know."
That's right today.
Yeah. So Bob said, "Okay," so he came in and he was here for a couple hours, man. He was great.
Yeah.
I can tell you Bud Wright stories for all day. I mean, Dave Urban, who was a longtime coach with him, didn't know him, but they were playing against Yeah, I think it was Clinton Central in the sectional. And it was in the fourth quarter, and they were down. They were down 6-0. And Bud goes out. If you know anything about Bud, he'll use his timeouts the first 3 plays of the game.
If he has to, yeah.
If he wants to.
Yeah.
And so he won't miss those timeouts for nothing. But I went to Greencastle, one of my assistants, went to the South Putnam game against Sheridan in the playoffs, and he was like, do you realize that he just used his 3 timeouts? I said, he doesn't care about those timeouts. And the next play, the guy busted one for, I think it was Law, busted one for a touchdown. He said he went for it. It was 4th down. And he's on his 31. I said it didn't matter to him. He didn't care about that. He already knew on the film he was going to bust these guys, and it wasn't going to be. But Bud, he's Urban told me that they were playing at home against Clinton Central. I think it was sectional championship, and so they got out. It was 4th down. So Bud calls timeout. And there's like 2 minutes to go in the game. So he walks out there, and only person who's got any guts enough to go over to ask about, hey, what play are we running? Is Dave Urban, because he's been with him 40 years. And so Dave said he walks out on the field. So here comes Bud off there. So he walks over and goes, hey, Bud, what are we running? And he said, middle trap. And he walked right by Dave, and Dave said, okay. Turned around, walked over the sideline to the assistants, and he said, hey, what did he say? He said, we're running center trap. They said, you're joking, right? He went, nope, he's running center trap. So the play went off. I busted right at the middle and ran for a touchdown. Went for a 2-point conversion, got it. And so after the game's over, Urban says, go in the locker room. The kids are all gone, and they're all sitting around in the locker room. And he said, Bud, why did you call that play? He goes, what are you worried about? We only had that much. He said, Bud, it was 4th and 11.
Oh.
But you have to understand, this guy is like, luck just falls
up.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so he looked at the chain and thought 4th and 1.
He looked out there. He just
looked
because it was the front of the chain and not the end.
Right.
I got you. That's
so
funny.
it had 11 years. I mean, 11 yards. Bud's a special individual. If you have him back, I mean, you could have stories with him. You could be all night up.
Well, I'll tell you. So two of my favorite stories. So, we ask him, when did you know Brett Law had it? And I expected him to pause and say, well, it was the 4th game of his sophomore year. He said, without hesitation, 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And I said, 3rd grade? And he said, yeah. He said he was just better than everybody else. He was faster than everybody else. He was stronger than everybody else. He could jump. He said he could dunk a basketball in like 10th grade or whatever,
Yeah.
And he was only like, 5'10", 5'9", man?
Yeah.
5'9". And so he just, without hesitation, said 3rd grade. And I said, he was that much better. And he said, yes. And he said, we geared everything to him, and it was just interesting seeing how much better that guy was. And, he turned out to be the all-time leading rusher, So then we had Mike Gillen in.
Yes.
Coaches at Mooresville. So we were telling him about Bud. And he said, yeah, Bud taught me a good lesson early in my coaching career. And so Mike was at Tri-West. They were playing Sheridan, and it was late in the game or whatever, and they stuffed him on 3rd down. It was like 3rd and 9 or something, 3rd and 8, and they stop him. And so Gillen's like, celebrating. He's high-fiving the defensive, and he's telling the punt, he's like, hey, punt return, get out there or whatever. And so the guys are switching or whatever. He said, I look out there, and Bud runs the ball for like 25, 28 yards or whatever, because while they were celebrating and making the switch, Bud just got up to the line of scrimmage, hiked the ball, and ran it up the middle And so Mike said he taught me a good lesson early in my career is don't assume anything. Don't.
Bud told me we played them when we were at Delphi. They're in a conference, and we beat them the first 2 times. Then the next time, they were loaded. I mean, they were loaded, and we weren't loaded. And so they pounded us. He couldn't help it. They pounded us. He comes over after the game, looks at me, goes, shakes my hand, he goes, I never thought I was going to beat you. I said, Bud, I never thought I was going to beat you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my 3rd game against you. He goes, yeah, I know, but you beat me the first 2. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. That streak's over.
That's funny. So one of the things I thought was interesting too when Bo was here. So his first 7, 8 years weren't that great. I mean, they were like, okay. And Bob said he was kind of on the hot seat. Like they were thinking about getting rid of him. Well, and I asked him, I said, what do you think changed? And it was exactly the answer I was hoping for. He said they didn't have a Little League football program when he got there.
Yeah.
And so he started it, and it took 7 or 8 years
Right.
for those third graders to get to 10th grade to get to high school. And once he got them in there and got that, then that's when they started rolling. You agree with the youth football is
Yes,
extremely
I do.
important?
I think that is important. I don't know what the grade level that they should start playing is, but I talked to coach. There are some places that do not have junior high football.
Yeah.
Terre Haute's one.
Oh, they don't have junior high football?
Yes.
No, I did not
Terre
know
Haute
that.
does not
Really?
have that. Yeah, they have PAL football with police athletic league.
Really? Yeah.
But there are schools that do not have that.
Yeah.
They do not have that. It's kind of a surprising thing.
That really is.
Yep.
Yeah,
It
because
is.
I would think
That's a big city too.
Yes, it is.
I would think that would put your high school program way behind. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Because how many kids did you lose, in that time period?
And that's a critical learning stage right there, developing in football. You've gone from the junior league where now you're playing organized different schools.
Yes, think about this. They're not practicing with the kids they're going to be playing with.
Yeah.
They just have, just playing, and you're playing with this team, and you're playing with this
I'm on
team.
your team this year, and I'm on his team next year, and
How tough would that be?
I think one of the mistakes we made here. Now I have girls, so I don't really care.
Well, then you don't have the right to answer.
Yeah. So, but they combine the middle schools here.
Yes.
And I think it's a mistake because I think at East,
we discussed this before.
Yeah. At East, you had a quarterback and a backup quarterback. And at West, you had a quarterback and a backup quarterback. So you got 4 kids playing quarterback. Now you combine them. Now you got a backup and a quarterback. So you're automatically cutting it because out of those 4 quarterbacks, one's going to get hurt. One's going to get interested in girls. One's going to, you know what I mean? One's going to drop, you're going to have that natural attrition anyway.
Yes.
And so when you start the numbers at a lower rate, and I'll probably make people mad by saying that it's a mistake, but I don't really care.
Everybody's got their opinion. And, if you're a coach, that's a hard thing to swallow when your kids, the first time they put on pads or the first time they're organized football to actually tackle somebody. Things have changed now. I mean, it has totally changed. People just don't realize. Ben Davis has 100 kids. Avon has 100 kids.
Yeah.
Well, before, you're looking and somebody might have 50 and people, that's a pretty good number. Yeah, but it depends. It depends on who your kids are. So, like when I was assistant at Indian Creek, Roger Dotson's first year, we had 25 kids. That's 9 through 12.
Yeah.
Finished 7-3. And I swear to God, we had no one that I would not have put into a varsity football.
Really?
Yes. I mean, we had some tough kids and players. And so, the quarterback played at Wabash. The tailback played at Wabash. This is from our own little bitty team of 25.
Yeah.
So, you got the right 25. That's what I used to say all the time. Right 25.
But Bud made a point, too, of like they didn't do a lot of summer conditioning and stuff because he has a lot of farm kids. Well, those kids are just naturally strong because they work on a farm because they're baling hay,
Hello, Frontier.
Yeah, they're working. Same thing with you guys. You got just farm kids that are used to working that are naturally strong. I forget what Bob called it. So Tim says Terre Haute has a great junior league and a decent
AFA 5-6 grade team.
Yeah, but the point is you're looking for team camaraderie. And the coach is getting to coach those kids because I still remember things when I coached about our junior high team.
Yeah.
We had 6 good people doing the junior high.
Yeah.
And so people don't realize how big that is and how big it is. How many people do you know want to coach junior high football?
Yeah.
Well, the big East and West when we were in, and it was a rivalry, and we went at it hard. And the talent was pretty well split too in this town. So then you went on to high school and you all played together. So
yeah, I think the rivalry is an important aspect because it teaches you that big game. You know what I mean? Because it's a big game to play against Mooresville. When it's a big game to play against Franklin. But when you're playing the guys that you played baseball with in the spring, you know what I mean? You want to beat them, and I like that rivalry. But I just think they started the attrition. They artificially cut kids right off the bat. You know what I mean?
He went from what? Let's say you had 30 kids on each team, 60, and you're down to 30, 35.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so if you had 40 and, well, like you said, 30 and 30, you got 60. Now you go to one school and you take 45. You've already cut 15 right off the top, and then right off the bat. I can see that. Yeah. So, but anyway, so then you go from Frontier to Frankfort.
Yeah, I took a 2-year hiatus. I had some health problems I had to take care of.
Okay.
So after those were taken care of, then I went back after the Frankfurt and then went back to Delphi. And so, yes, I went to Frankfurt. You know why I went to Frankfurt?
No.
Take a guess. What would be your guess?
I don't know.
It reminded me of Martinsville.
Really?
Yep.
That's funny.
City Park, golf course in town, you know, nice neighborhoods, all the shopping stuff.
That's funny.
Very similar cities, yeah.
Very similar. Now, they have a large Hispanic population now, and they had about 1/3 of the kids there when I was there were Hispanic, which was not a problem. People think that's a problem. That was not a problem.
And why do you think, was there...
let me tell you something. About 1/4 of my football team is Hispanic.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So you think they play soccer?
Yeah.
No, they don't. No, they don't. So
that's funny.
They want to play on the weekends or after school or whatever, but they didn't want to play team. Now, some things have changed, you know, I think maybe now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a big reminder of Martinsville.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with it when I first saw it.
You liked it?
Yeah, I did. And so I've been to Frontier, and you know, it's a small little country school. I loved it, and I still love it. They were good to me, and I was good to them. And I still have a lot of good friends there and everything, and players. I have a lot of those kids I talked to. So that's why I went to Frankfurt. I wanted to get, am I really that good of a coach, or do I what do I have to do here? Because we played North Montgomery, and they won state 2 years in a row. We had them beat. My best player fumbled on about the 5-yard line with about 30 seconds to go. They couldn't stop us. We rushed for 450 yards, and so they couldn't stop us. And he devastated him, of course. Great kid, but we got by it.
So what happened? Somebody just punched it out.
Somebody just punched it out, and he was trying to get by, and I think he might have scored.
Yeah.
Because the arm was not going to stop this dude.
Yeah.
So, but we got through it. So it's just, but I loved it at Frankfurt. I did. I loved it. Had weight classes all day. Taught some U.S. history 1 year, health. So, but no, I loved the staff, and I liked the kids, and I liked the town. So it was nice.
How do you? What's the conversation after that game with that kid?
We had one right outside in the little bench outside. It was the third game of the season, and I told him, I said, "This is only one step on the road. You know, this is not going to happen again." You know, and he was crushed. I mean, he was crushed.
Sure.
And so, you know, we'll get this next week, and then we'll keep going, and we'll see what happens. But everything's fine.
Probably better that happened the third game of the season, so you got five or six more games to play.
If that had been the last game of the season that'd been tough to talk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that could have a completely different outcome. You know, I mean, that could be.
But he sucked it up, and we went on and played, and we had a real strange year because the teams we got beat by are all sectional champions.
Yeah.
And one team we got beat by North Montgomery when the kid fumbled, they won the state championship. So. And the other loss we had was West Lafayette, and we ended up beating them in the first game of the tournament.
Nice.
So it just it was a real strange season. It was strange.
And do you know what that kid's doing today?
Yeah, I'd rather not say. Okay. I'll tell you after the show is over. How's that?
Right on. Yeah. I gotta tell you a story about after we're over how I'll tell you afterwards. Just don't let me forget. So then you end up at Delphi after. So you win the conference championship your last year at Frankfurt, and was that one of the first ones they had won, or
they had not won a conference championship in almost 40 years?
That's what I thought that was.
They were in a different conference. They were in the North Central Conference. A lot of people don't understand.
Oh wow!
So you know they're playing against Lafayette, Jeff, Marion, and those people, and they had won one or two before that, but they had not won one for a long period of time before I got that. And we celebrated as a team because that was one of our goals. We thought we could beat North Montgomery and win the thing. But we got beat by North Montgomery early, and then they ended up getting really upset by Southmont. Southmont was not very good. Northmont got beat, and then we got beat by West Lafayette that night and won the conference.
Wow.
So I told him, I said, you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. And so we just don't want to be on the you never know.
Yeah.
We want to be on the other end of that.
The prepared side of it.
Yeah.
So then what happens, how you get to Delphi?
Well, Randy German, going back to my college roommate, was at Delphi teaching, and he had been the head coach before. And so he called me and wanted me to come back and be the head coach. So I don't know about that. And so because they tried to get me to come when they let him go. And I was like, my mom made a great statement, which if he was divorced and his wife was available, would you go in and date her? Yeah. No, I wouldn't. You can't do that, which is exactly right.
That's a good point.
And then I had to meet with Randy like 5 times to make sure that he was okay with it. And so we did.
Wow.
We did. So, no, we had a great time doing it. My last year, we were 0-10. We played some really good people, and we had some really young kids. And so, but it's all right. I had done a lot in coaching before that, and then I ended up coaching the last 4 years at Northwestern High School as assistant coach for John Hendricks, who was a friend of mine that was at Carroll High School, which the Bacon Bowl, you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Delphi and Carroll.
Yeah.
He was at Carroll, I was at Delphi.
That's funny.
So, yeah, it was. But I had a great 4 years then helping him. And I told him probably to quit the year before that I said, I want to quit. He goes, no, you can't quit. Things are going too good. I know they are. That's why I want to quit.
That's why I want to
Right.
And I don't want anybody mad at me.
You don't want to lose when you're drop out when you're losing.
Losing,
No.
Top.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was one of those situations that, sometimes coaches use this old joke that things aren't so well and parents are on you and everything else. But the best place to coach is where,
Where you're winning?
orphanage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Nobody's mad about that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but the parents didn't have really anything to do with it. But it's just one of those things that I did my time at Delphi, and I'm done with that. So
Bob and I coached girls basketball from third grade to 7th grade, and we always said, like, winning is the great deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the kids can hate each other, the parents can hate you, the parents can hate the other players, but if you're winning, nobody says
That's
anything. Right. But man, you lose
Then you
one
get
game,
that L.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and then the claws come out, and everybody, you don't know anything. And my favorite story, I coached. So when my one daughter was in 7th grade and my younger daughter was in 5th grade, and I coached both of the teams at the same time. I would get a gym for 3 hours. I would get it from 5 to 8, and I'd have the 5th graders come in from 5 to 6:30, and the 7th graders come in from 6:30 to 8, and we would practice. And sometimes I would have an overlap, and we would scrimmage each other. We ran the same plays, we ran the same defense, we ran the same trap. The 7th graders weren't very good, and the 5th graders were really good. Okay,
How you doing, Coach Helms?
well, I didn't forget how to coach between
No, that's
6:30 and you know what I mean? It's like they just weren't, and it's funny because you had a lot of, like, the 5th graders never complained, and honestly the 7th graders, they really never did either. But I always just thought it was funny that it was like we're doing the exact same thing the exact same way, just got different personnel. And
it's Rex Grossman versus Peyton Manning.
That's
So I tell all the Colt fans, tell them the exact same thing.
yeah
You won the Super Bowl, but you beat Rex Grossman.
Easy.
Oh, yeah. Who's your favorite team? Bengals. Who'd you beat? We got beat by Joe Montana twice.
yeah
That's true.
That's when he was in the huddle, and he looks over and he goes, "Hey, look, there's John
John
Candy," and then he goes
Right down the field.
gotta go.
Gotta go.
Yeah. So then you end up as an assistant for 3 years.
Yeah.
Is it hard to go from being a head coach back to an assistant?
It was way easy.
That's what I expected you to say.
I told a friend of mine that was the head basketball coach at Delphi, and he was going to go to Western to coach for the basketball coach that used to be at Delphi, and then he went to Greenfield and then went to Western. And so Michael Lewis asked Brian Tonsoni to go to there, and Brian came to me and says, "What do you think?" I said, "You'll love it, every bit of it." I've loved all the 4 years that I was with John, because things have slowed down. I mean, things during the game, a head coach is thinking about 1,000 things. And it's easy to think of strategy when you're not the head coach.
Right.
That's a fact. I mean, we were with John one time, and it was first playoff game. We were playing Blackford over there. And we ran this play, and John said, "This is a touchdown for sure." So as soon as he hit the ground, I said, "It's not in." But it was 4th down. So All of a sudden, John's yelling, timeout, timeout. No, don't call that timeout. Why? I said, I'll tell you when. So all of a sudden, he's going, now? No. Now? No. Now? So wait till there's 3 seconds. So he calls the timeout. So I said, it was going to be 4th down, right? He said, yeah. So we only have one opportunity.
Yeah.
I said, wait till those 3 seconds. They have no opportunity.
That way you don't get change of possession.
Yeah,
they don't get the ball.
If we do fumble it and get it, they'll be running down the field. But it'll be over if we tackle them. They won't be in there. Yep. So the stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you're just like, no, just relax for a second. Just relax for a second. Pushed it in. Time ran off the clock.
And ball game over. It's just like you said with Tut earlier, saying let him score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the head coach is no way the head coach is thinking let the other team score. You know what I mean?
That, John, I can tell you that because John Kuntz, I promise you, didn't ever hear that conversation before, and wasn't going to let him score on his defense.
Yeah.
And I understand from those aspects and stuff, but it's one of those situations where you got to have somebody who's thinking outside the box. That's right. Outside, yes. And so they can think quick, fast. And that's one thing I did notice at Martinsville. You stand on the sidelines of some other people's games, they have a hard time coming up with the next play, what to do, the next thing, what to do. And I never wanted to be like that. So.
Yeah. We briefly touched on it earlier, and it's what I call the game within the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite part of it. Is like it's more than just the X's and O's. It's like with baseball pitchers, they're setting them up. You know, they throw one under their chin because they know the next pitch they're going low and away, and it's the game within the game. It's I'm going to do this so that I can do this later.
Right.
I mean, it's like you throw the bubble screen 5 times, bubble screen,
deep.
and then you hitch and go, and you suck that DB and that's my favorite part of it. Is just like you said, outsmarting him, outthinking him. You know what I mean? Out.
That takes a lot of it out. You know what I mean? That takes a lot of the stress out of it. It just we're going to do this like. I got mad at an assistant coach one time. We were running jet sweep. And so I said, watch the backside corner and see what he does. So run the play, hand it off. I said, what did the backside corner do?
Oh.
I said, what did the backside corner do? And he said, I didn't watch him. I said, I don't care about that jet guy. I want to know what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, play it again. All right, we'll run the sweep again. So I said, what did he do? He stood there. Perfect. That's why I wanted to hear touchdown right over him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's looking over there too.
Yeah, watching the play. Yeah,
trying to watch him.
So you show it to him, and then you the backside guy comes up like he's going to block, and then releases and goes. Yeah. That's what I think. That's what I love about football is like just the strategy. Like I said, you show them this. And
I love that part.
Yeah, and I don't care if it loses 2 yards this time or if it gains 2 yards because I'm just showing it to you. I'm just showing. I'm just setting you up, and I'm just setting you up, and just setting you up. Yeah. So because it takes discipline. I think it takes a lot of discipline to play defense, don't you? Because you gotta. You gotta stay home and
you can also find those people that are over aggressive
and use it against them.
Yes. A lot of times.
Yeah. They show early. So then at Northwestern, you guys win conference a couple times, right? And what conference is Northwest in?
Let's see here, Mid Indiana.
And
but at that time, now they're not in Mid Indiana.
Is it
they're in the Hoosier Conference?
Hoosier Conference, yeah, that's what.
Very good football conference.
Yeah,
very good.
So who was in the Midland or?
West Lafayette was in there.
Okay.
Rensselaer in there.
Okay.
West Lafayette was in there. Delphi was in there. Northwestern was in there. Western was in there.
That's a lot of good football.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
A lot of good coaches. A lot of good coaches.
A lot of good coaches too.
Yes.
Yeah. So who's up there? Who you got coaching in that conference now?
Oh, well, Alex Stewart at Western. He used to coach with us at Northwestern. He played for John Hendricks at Carroll. Chris Meeks is at Rensselaer.
Okay.
Was a middle school coach for me at Frankfurt.
Nice.
It's small. I mean, this world gets small in coaching.
Yeah.
West Lafayette, like I said, it's Marshall Overley used to be, and now it's Shane Maxwell, I think it is. And we had Western. Oh, Eastern was in there for. Well, no, they were never in there. Eastern, Western. Lewis Cass.
Okay.
And they've had some great success the last 20 years. I mean, we've had some really good coaches. Lewis Cass, Scott Mannering, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Jim Plummer, Western Hall of Fame. We've had a lot of people in that conference that were Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So it's good football. It's real good. If you're not good or competitive, you'll get your brains beat out.
In.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of our running joke on here is that we only deal with Hall of Famers around here.
You're smart.
Yeah. So we had Bud, we had Mike Gillen, we had Mo on, Eric Moore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we were just kind of sitting around one day saying, damn, we've had a lot of Hall of Famers. So 2017, you get elected to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
I didn't tell anybody for 2 days.
Really?
Yeah. I was in Houston, actually Huntsville, playing golf with a kid I had at Delphi. And I was sitting in bed, and next thing I know, I saw this him up on my iPad. And I looked at that and I was looking and thinking, there is no stinking way this is wrong. So I let it go and didn't say anything to anybody. And so then I was driving home after we were done with the trip, and I called the guy that had sent me the email, Brad Smith. And I told him, I said, are you sure about this? Are you sure there's other people that shouldn't have been in ahead of me? He goes, no, because how they do it is there's 10 regions, and each region gets to nominate somebody every 2 years. Well, our region, it's kind of a strange region because we have probably 7 schools, maybe 28. And you have to understand, most of them are small schools. So we have got to catch 22 going because a lot of people don't stay long enough, like at Lafayette Jeff for a long period of time, or
then
Logan
they move on.
And then, they go somewhere else. And so when I got that, I called, like I said, I called him, and I had to be convinced. I can tell you that, because I was thinking about these other people, but I had no control over these other people or their situation. And so then started talking to some of my buddies, and they were like, this is a no-brainer. And I said, maybe for you. And they said, no, this is a no-brainer, trust me. So it was unreal to look at that and think.
Humbling.
Very. I mean, I'm still humble to this day, thinking that, are you sure you should be in there? Once you flip open the thing and start looking through the names of all those people, God,
holy crap! Yeah,
look at that. And so those are people that I used to watch whenever I'd go to high school playoff games and all that. Never in my life am I standing there in the stands or whatever thinking, let's see, yeah, I think that guy will be a Hall of Famer, and I will be too.
Yeah,
that never crosses your mind. I promise you.
And it's something like, if you had asked for it, if you had been lobbying for it, saying, hey, then, but to have other people recognize it,
and that's what kind of at the end got me. But made it a little bit more like Randy German. Okay, he said, "You're stupid. There's no way you don't deserve this." Then he started writing all these things down, and he went through, and I mean, he got up to a bunch of things. He goes, "Are all those true?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "What's your problem?" I don't know. I look at other people and think that guy should be in. Like Mike Gillen. Yeah, no brainer. Bud Wright. Yeah. No brainer, right? I can name you a bunch of people like that.
Yeah.
Right. But you think Vince Burpo? I don't think of that. That was just a big surprise.
Yeah.
A big surprise.
So then how does it work? So you have to make a speech and you get inducted and all that. And I saw it was in West Lafayette.
Yes, it was at Purdue. We have our region, I told you there was 10 regions.
Okay.
Our region has buddied up with Purdue University because they get to put people in the Indiana Hall of Fame every 2 years, just like the time that we do that.
Okay.
So here I am on stage. My brother's out there, and the only thing he keeps telling my mother is he's standing next to Rod Woodson. And I told my brother, you know what? Yeah, I was standing next to Rod Woodson, and you're just like, oh my God. I mean, that's Rod Woodson, one of the top 50 players ever playing in the NFL. Yeah. And he was so nice.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know how many times he said, "Hey, congratulations on being put into the Hall of Fame." Thanks. Yeah, but you're. Sign this.
Yeah, yeah. Do you care to sign this for me? Yeah.
But it was just one of those things that he was, just a normal person. The funny thing is, and I told people, which is a true story. So here I am in all my glory over there at Purdue. Okay. So leave there, real nice to everybody. See you. It was fantastic. So as soon as I get home, I'm driving down the road. And I said, "What in the world is that in front of my house?" So I get home, and in 5 minutes later, I get home from the Hall of Fame banquet. there's a dead raccoon on the road, and guess who had to shovel it off? So I think it was just God sending me a message to say, "You're just in the Hall of Fame.
Don't get too big for
Slow the roll down a little bit.
You're lucky to get in there." So
That's funny.
it is.
You go out there and say like, you know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm a Hall of Famer, and I'm out here.
Wasn't going to make a difference. I promise you.
That's funny. That's funny. So you said something earlier about David Boland.
Yeah, he asked me to do it.
Yeah. So what did he tell you about it?
He just said I'd be really good at it. That there would be a lot of good stories, and there were things that would be interjected about Martinsville and all that. And so, yeah. Because when you guys called me before, that was when COVID was going on. Was
at its height? Yeah.
And I didn't think I wasn't getting out. I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
My buddies were mad at me, but that's okay.
When we first started making a list about,
yeah.
I mean, your name come up instantly,
Well,
and
thanks.
some of the ones that we've had. So
Yeah.
I hope I was better than Bud Wright.
Yeah.
Bud was a character.
Oh, he is something. I'm
Bud
just
was
telling you.
funny.
I can tell you some other stories. I mean, he is an unbelievable individual. He just really is.
David was funny. We talked a little bit about his high school time and then him coaching, but it was mostly just people getting on there busting his chops or whatever. And
he needs them.
Yeah, it was funny, man. They were just
He needs them.
So did you ever coach against each other?
No, I helped David when he got the head football job at Fountain Central.
At Fountain Central, yeah.
And so David was a good coach.
Yeah.
And he for sure could be coaching still.
Yeah.
No doubt. I'd love to have him.
Hell, it looks like he can still run the ball.
Yeah. Have you?
When he come in here?
Oh, I've seen him.
Yeah.
I just went to the French Lick
with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a horrible gambler.
That's funny.
He's horrible.
That's good stuff.
It's too bad about Jack. I mean, it seemed like he kind of had a chance to play and then got hurt, and so that was too bad. But yeah,
we beat them in the playoffs at Northwestern. Jack's senior year. Yeah. That was a real sad night.
Yeah.
People just don't understand the inner workings of other people you have to deal with, and
right.
You want your kids to win, but you don't want to put the other kids out.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, somebody that you know. I mean, you and Dave are probably pretty good friends.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
I would think we are. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you don't want to.
Maybe not after tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Coach Helms wants to know if you got any good stories about Bobby Payne.
Oh, well, I go back to and I'm not sure it was his fault. We missed that first extra point, against Terrell North, and then he was a freshman.
Yeah,
he was the kicker.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so I felt bad for him, but it's just one of those things that the way that the season started and everything else. But I got a few stories about Robert Archibald, but we better not.
You take money from him on the golf course?
No, I used to. I hurt my back, and I haven't been able to play. But I tried to get Baylor on my team when we play golf, and let Bobby try to find somebody that beat Baylor. But Bobby can't beat him anymore.
Baylor, his swing's all right.
All right.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
When he was playing Indiana juniors, it was at Purdue.
Yeah.
So he and a buddy of Baylor's came over to my house and spent because it kept raining. They spent 4 nights, I think, or 3 nights. It seemed like 3 months. These guys came over my house, but the course was a wreck.
Yeah.
And so then they had to let it drain. Then all that, and so they just stayed up there the entire time. But no, Bobby, good friend of mine, will always be a good friend of mine. And Baylor's a nice kid.
I saw Baylor playing. We were crossing at Foxcliff. We were going down one hole, and he was going down the other. And I just watched him swing a couple times. And most people try to hit it hard. He didn't. He swings. His swing is fast. It's not. It's not.
Have you seen the
hard.
women?
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, not live. No.
That'll change your perspective on golf.
Yeah.
It is an amazing thing. I mean, it looks like they're not even swinging. The ball takes off, goes, and it's an amazing thing.
Yeah. I slowed my swing down this summer a little bit and started hitting it on the face, and it's like, that kind of goes a little bit further when you take about 10 miles an hour of club head speed off, but hit it square, instead of hitting it off the toe. You know what I mean?
I wonder if that's why I'm not a very good player.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
My swing's been slow my whole life, and I still stink. So
yeah, I got slow swing speed too. So, man, we're right at 2 hours.
On the dot.
Yeah. So, It didn't seem like it'd been that long. I mean, I really appreciate you coming down. So
yeah, I enjoyed it.
You get to have lunch with everybody today? Did you, with your mom?
Yes, just my mom and Wayne Watson, her friend, and just me today. Because the others had to go to a party in Rushville, a birthday party, and my brother was doing something else with his family, I believe.
Yeah.
So just the three of us today.
So not a wasted trip down.
No, not at all.
But like we talked earlier, like you said, and COVID was at the height, and you said, I'd rather pass right now. And I totally get it, because I don't want to mess with it. I'm afraid of it.
I'm just protecting my mother.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's the thing. My grandma was, she passed away in February, and I was terrified that one of us would take it. I went and got her every Monday night and took her to dinner. But when COVID started, we started bringing dinner to her because we didn't want to get her out. And that's what I was afraid of, is that I was going to take it to her, and then, you know what I mean? So
yes, I do.
And I just didn't. So yeah, but
back in the heyday of when I played in the '80s, and we had a good team. We had, of course, the one team that got beat by Castle, and we got beat by Warren. Your dad wrote some of the best articles.
Oh, thanks.
And you can still go dig those up. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate, as a high school kid, you don't look at it that ways, but now I don't think the paper's up to par as it's gone through time here. But when you had an individual like your father that wrote the stories that he did, and as a kid you could relive that moment, it was remarkable. And I just want to tell you, thank you. For what your dad did for us and covered our football team, because it was good stuff, man.
He liked it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he loved it. I'm gonna say he loved it. He didn't just like it. He loved it because that's what he did. I mean, he loved Martinsville. You know. What I mean? So.
That's one of the things that David said, which I was surprised that he said. I bleed red and blue, and that was really, David wanted to come on and kind of talk about Coach Siderwitz, talk about his playing, and I was surprised at that, because I thought, I don't know really what I expected, but when he said that, he made 2 or 3 references back to his love for Martinsville and his time here, and just and he said like how he enjoyed growing up here and all that stuff. Yeah, and so
I said about Frankfort.
Yeah,
same thing. I didn't know of another place would be like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Except Martinsville.
Yeah.
So, that's the way it is.
So it was great to see and hear from Vince. He's a local legend.
Yes,
I
sir.
agree. So, yeah. So
now you guys wanted me to tell a story about Chuck Crabb, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got to get this out, and I'll set it up, because when he come in, I said, "You got some big shoes to fill tonight, Vince." Why? What's up? Well, Chuck Crabb was in that seat last week, and he just stopped and he goes, "I got a story about Chuck Crabb." So,
I
here we
do.
go.
Yep. I was in Frankfurt when Blue Chips was filmed.
Okay.
Oh, I meant to ask. Yeah.
That was an experience within itself, and I mean, you're like me to you to all these people. I mean,
Nick Nolte.
Yes, he was reading the newspaper while I was getting my mail one day in the high school office.
That's funny.
He said, "How are you?" I said, "Good." That was our conversation.
What was? Did you hear? Because I've heard that he wasn't the friendliest.
He was friendly to me, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So I can't speak for that. He was very friendly, but he knew that I wasn't going to attack him, asking for a picture
or any of that stuff. Yeah.
But so I was the assistant to the athletic director. So we had 4 nights of basketball and all that. So Chuck Crabb came all 4 nights, and so I had to get the athletic director to do something at the scorer's bench. So I walked over there to make sure all this stuff was in each one of these seats. So when the people sit down, they could look, and they're supposed to be writing and looking, watching basketball game. So I walked out, introduced myself, and said, "You do the IU games down?" "Yeah, I do." I said, "I'm from Martinsville." He goes, "Oh, really?" I said, "My name's Vince Burpo," and he says, "Your dad S.L. Burpo?" And I said, "Yes, he is." He says, "I got a question to ask you," and I'm thinking, this could go 1,000 different ways at this point. He says, "I was traveling through there Tuesday night. You got stopped by the police." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you know anybody can fix a ticket?" And I said, No,
unfortunately, I don't.
That's a true story.
That's funny. So
good.
We asked him about Blue Chips, and he said, "Yeah, I got a call." And he said, "Hey, Coach wants you to come up to Franklin and film, or Frankfurt, yeah." And he said, "Well, I'm going on vacation tomorrow." And he said, "Coach Knight wants you to come up and be a part of this movie." And he said, "But I got my whole family." And they said, filming starts at whatever time, and he's like, all right, I'll be there or whatever. So he canceled for those 4 days to come up there and film. Yeah. He also told us, so have you ever heard of Tomato Pie? So it's in Paragon, and it's a pizza joint, and it's called Tomato Pie, and it's really good. Well, Chuck had heard about it, and he said, what do you guys know about this tomato pie? And we're like, well, we know a lot about it, you know. Yeah,
three fat guys that eat food all the time. We know pizza.
So he tells us after we go off air, he goes, you guys give me tomato pie, I'll come back. And we're like, done, dude. Like, yeah, done.
Not much to do in Bloomington, huh?
Yeah,
right.
So
he started trying them all.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we talked about, especially all the coaches that we've had on here, one thing you guys love to talk football, and you can't get y'all shut up half the time, but that's good. That's coaching.
That's the point of the show.
Right, but we want to get, have them all come back.
That's what we were trying to set up with you, is to have everybody come back and have like a big round table. But it was really hard to get everybody set up.
Especially now.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to do it, but it'd have to be in the springtime. But it would be neat to have you and some of them other gentlemen come in, because the knowledge you guys have about football. I mean, you talk Veer all day. Imagine him and Coach Sider was talking Veer all freaking day. It would go on forever, you know.
Well, that's I told you I went to North Dakota State.
Yeah.
And that right there, that changed everything for me with Veer football. So yeah, it opened up with everything with the offense and everything else. So yeah, it would be fun. But I don't like giving out my secrets. No, I'm done with that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
You can have them. Yeah.
I have so many people ask me. I got this little defense run against wing T, and people are always like, "Hey, you know anything about that wing T defense you run?" Yeah, I know something about it.
Yeah.
You come over and talk to me? Yeah, I'll talk to you, but just you. I'm not talking to 25 people. No.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fun.
But I mean, think of the knowledge and the championships and the.
Let me tell you something.
If we could get 4 or 5 of you in here, it would be great.
There are more knowledgeable people. There are a lot of good coaches out there in Indiana, and people always think it's a basketball
state,
right.
State or this or that. And I am telling you, it is a scary sight when you go to a clinic and see these people, because they might give you a little bit. They're not going to give it all to you, but they can get you thinking.
Right.
And there's a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them. There's a lot of good coaches that have won a state championship. And a lot of them have done, you don't know what the history is of the school to bring them up to another level. And,
sure,
people just don't understand that. You just think Warren Central is good all the time. Well, they are. And there's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah.
Bud's son, Kevin, I'd say who I followed at Frankfurt.
Yeah.
So, let me tell you something. It's a small world of coaching people.
It really is, because when we've had people in here, I mean, we've probably had 10 or 12 coaches, and they're all connected some way or another, you know what I mean? And a lot of it's through Bob, because Bob coached with Gillen, he coached with Bud Wright, so he knows Kevin, Mo played here, but he also knew, it's just.
Well, Coach Siderwich and Joey and Mo, boom, boom, right off the bat.
Yeah.
And his ties, Bud's son. So, I mean, it's a small circle, but the same names keep popping up, and there's a reason why all of you win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
branches of there's a tie-ins there together, and it's pretty cool.
It's kind of funny because there's a lot of people you talk to, like they actually don't know these people, so they think, "Why are you talking to this guy?" I said, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, well, he's this, and this." Not to me, he's not.
Yeah, not to me, he's not.
Why is he that way to you? Oh, I have never talked to him. I wouldn't be going around saying this.
Right.
And I'll tell him that I don't really care.
Yeah.
So doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have any ties to be worried about now. I mean, so.
You got one last thing for him to do.
Yeah, Jerry said that Shirley wrote some of the papers. So, Jerry's dad, Chocolate Scott.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Jerry's dad, Chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah, so he said he wrote some, because I think they used to play fast pitch. I think Jerry's dad played in the fast pitch leagues. Yeah,
he did.
So.
My dad told all about that.
Yeah. So well, Vince, I appreciate you coming down, and I know it's kind of a long trip for you. Hopefully, traffic's better on the way back.
Well, it is. I got to play golf at 9:00 over at West Lafayette. So
that's good.
Hope so. It's been bad, but I hope it is.
Yeah. Well, a bad day on the course is better than a good day at work, right?
I don't work anymore.
There you go. There you go. Working at golf now, right?
Yep.
There you
Trying
go.
to.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. So Wednesday night, we'll have Ted Kitchell on. We're going to start at 7:30 Wednesday night. So tune in, like and share, spread the word. And then we've got Sam Alford confirmed, but we don't have a date yet. So Sam will be in a week or two. He just got to get his schedule and make sure he doesn't have any prior commitments, even though Porch Time is more important than whatever he was doing.
Right on,
right?
100%.
So all right. See you guys Wednesday.